Oh, really? Okay.
Candidate forum last couple weeks ago, did you?
I did not.
You did not.
I'm
sure you're happy about that.
That was something that had to do in the past.
Yeah, I'm sure.
Residential to Public conservation, and he seems opposed to it. Worried about but people there would be more. Nice to see you. Nice to see you too. Okay. All right, lady, got you. Says a lady let me hold it up, and the lady was sitting. They haven't told me for 2 weeks.
Oh, wow.
And she got this golden doodle, and it's barking too much, so it's at my house.
Oh my gosh.
Alaska's okay with it. All I know is, I told you, did I ever tell you we were out eating sushi? And that's what Sydney was like, there's a wild one. Wild one. He doesn't tell me. He just keeps us out. Firefighter. He's a district chief. I think so. Right? He's a district chief, right? Oh. Yeah. All right, perfect.
I'm sure. I don't remember why we got a password. Is that if we want to use Wi-Fi in my phones? Do I have to do something? Oh, thanks.
All right. Yeah, you're good.
Andrew Larson.
Okay.
No secret, thank you. All right, we all ready?
Yes.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the City Commission meeting of Monday, February 5th. At this time, I would like to call Pastor Andrew Larson from Safety Harbor Community Church to come forward to lead us in the invocation. So if everyone will please stand and then remain standing for the pledge to the flag.
Will you pray with me? Our Heavenly Father, thank you for our city, for the people who work and live here, for the people that choose to raise their families here and start businesses here. Thank you for all of the reasons that make it such a desirable place to be. Lord, I thank you for the men and women that are in front of me tonight and for the wisdom that you have given them and for their desire to serve their community. Father, I pray that you would bless them with discernment that goes beyond typical human abilities so that they may best lead and serve the citizens in the city of Safety Harbor. Continue to bless our city. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Pastor. All right, so we're going to move to the presentations portion of the meeting. At this time, we have a proclamation for Teen Dating Violence Awareness and Prevention Month. So I would like to call John Long. Is John Long here? Okay, he's the VP of Abuse Services for Hope Villages of America. So I'm going to read this proclamation and I'll come down and present it to you. But if you want to come on up to the microphone, you're welcome to. And I'll come down there and we'll take a picture after this. Thank you for being here tonight. Again, a proclamation in recognition of Teen Dating Violence Awareness and Prevention Month. Whereas teen dating violence includes physical, psychological, or sexual abuse, harassment, or stalking of any person ages 12 to 18 in the context of a past or present romantic consensual relationship. And 1 in 3 adolescent girls is a victim of physical, emotional, or verbal abuse from a dating partner. In high school, students who experience physical violence in a dating relationship are more likely to use drugs and alcohol, are at greater risk of suicide, and are much more likely to carry patterns of abuse into future relationships. And only 33% of teenagers who are in abusive relationship ever tell anyone about abuse, and 81% of parents surveyed either believe teen dating violence is not an issue or admit they do not know if it is one. And Hope Villages of America provides young people with education about healthy relationships and changes attitudes that support violence in an effort to prevent dating violence. And the establishment of Teen Dating Violence Awareness and Prevention Month will benefit young people, their families, schools, and communities regardless of socioeconomic status, gender, sexual orientation, or ethnicity. And everyone has a right to a safe and healthy relationship and to be free from abuse. Now, therefore, I, Joe Ayub, Mayor of the City of Safety Harbor, and on behalf of the City Commission, do hereby proclaim February to be Teen Dating Violence Awareness and Prevention Month in the City of Safety Harbor, and urge all residents to actively participate in the activities and programs sponsored by Hope Villages of America to work toward ending teen dating violence. So again, John, thank you for being here tonight. And anything you'd like to say about this before I come down?
No, I appreciate the City of Safety Harbor in October setting the proclamation for domestic violence, and then signing the proclamation for teen dating violence. We know 1 in 12 teens experience some kind of violence during their teen years of dating. So if we look at this group, we know that somebody in this room, their children or grandchildren, have experienced some kind of teen violence. So we're not just raising awareness in February, 29 days is fantastic, but we also want to make it an annual thing to make sure that we are aware, making our kids safe, our grandkids safe, and breaking the cycle.
Well, thank you for what you do for Hope Villages and for this cause, and I'm going to come down and present this to you. All right, so do we have anybody from the Diversity Advisory Board here? Okay, great. And are you the only one, or is there anyone else?
Just myself today, Les Weiss.
All right, good. Well, that's more than enough. So now I have a proclamation in recognition of Black African American History Month for February 2024. Whereas during the celebration of Black African American History Month, in the City of Safety Harbor recognizes the many contributions of our Black and African American descent in our community. And Black African Americans representing more than 47 million Americans across the United States and comprise a growing population of 4.7% in the City of Safety Harbor, and that which represents a diversity of cultures and heritages. And Black African Americans have contributed greatly to expand opportunities for the community and build a highway for millions of women, immigrants, other historically marginalized communities, and all Americans to more fully experience the benefits of our society. And we honor the extraordinary contributions made by the Black African Americans throughout the history of our republic, and we renew our commitment to liberty and justice for all. And Black African Americans have worked to overcome many challenges over generations, often in the face of discrimination and prejudice, and continue to strengthen our communities through perseverance and dedication. Now, therefore, I, Joe Ayub, Mayor of the City of Safety Harbor, and on behalf of the City Commission do hereby proclaim February 1st, 2024 through March 1st as the celebration of Black African American History Month in the city of Safety Harbor. So Les, thank you for coming out to accept this.
It's my honor to serve on the diversity board for the past year, and very grateful and appreciative to accept this award from the city, who's always been very, very dedicated to diversity issues, and looking forward to serving further on the board. We meet the fourth Thursday of every month and welcome individuals to come out and share their concerns, share any other kind of issues that they may have.
Thank you. All right, so let me just turn it over to you.
Yeah, you good?
All right, there you go.
Well, good evening, Mayor, Vice Mayor, Commissioners, and Mr. Spoor. We're back again this evening to continue our Safety Harbor Fire Department story and swear in District Chief Greg Newland and allow his family to present him his badge and helmet. Greg was hired as a District Chief in July 2023 and successfully completed his probationary period last month. Greg is currently assigned my favorite shift, B shift, and is accompanied tonight by his wife Rose and his son Justin, who's a firefighter paramedic with the city of Clearwater. A native of the Buckeye State, Greg was born in Springfield, Ohio, raised in New Carlisle, Ohio, just outside of Dayton, and it's there where Greg fell out of love with the cold and moved south to Florida in the 1980s, where he became a volunteer fire department with the Safety Harbor Fire Department. Over the next 33 and a half years, Greg would work as a firefighter, 11 and a half with the city of Oldsmar and 22 with the city of Clearwater. In Clearwater, he served as a firefighter paramedic, driver operator, lieutenant, and district chief. During this time, he also obtained his Fire Officer 2 certification, fire instructor, live fire instructor certification, and he also received a degree in fire administration from St. Petersburg College. When out at work, Greg enjoys spending time with his family, camping, boating, and dressing up like a pirate for the annual Gasparilla Parade. As I said, Greg is currently leading and managing B Shift. He's also responsible for our department's training and development plan of our personnel. Greg, we're happy you're here, and we look forward to the great work you're going to do for the City of Safety Harbor. So congratulations and welcome to the team, District Chief Greg Newland. Mayor, just 2 items before you come down and do the swearing in. We're going to ask his son, firefighter paramedic Justin Newland from City of Clearwater, to come up and present his father his helmet. Justin is also wearing Greg's badge that he wore as a firefighter in Clearwater.
And it's a little dirty because it's been used.
And now we'll have his wife Rose come up and present him his badge.
Congratulations. You're to be sworn in. Yes, sir. All righty. Well, please raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Gregory Newland, do solemnly swear.
I, Gregory Newland, do solemnly swear
That I will support, protect, and uphold the Constitution of the United States.
that I will support, protect, and uphold the Constitution of the United States
And the Constitution of the State of Florida.
and the Constitution of the State of Florida
And the Charter and laws of the City of Safety Harbor.
and the charters and laws of the City of Safety Harbor.
That I am duly qualified to hold the position of District Chief.
That I am duly qualified
and that I will faithfully perform the duties of the position on which now I am about to enter.
And I will faithfully perform the duties of the position which I am now about to enter.
Congratulations.
Right.
All right, so now we have the recognition of certified municipal clerk, the designation of certified municipal clerk. I believe we have Rosemary Call from the city of Clearwater. You're the city clerk in Clearwater, right?
Yes.
All right, so thank you for being here for this.
So my name is Rosemary Call with the city of Clearwater, the city clerk, but I'm also the Florida Association City Clerk Central West District Director. And with me tonight, I have Jennifer Carfano, city clerk of Pinellas Park, and Alexis Silcox, city clerk of Bel Air Bluffs. So thank you again so much for letting us come here and recognize Ms. Teleska. Rachel has been working very hard. And one of the things as a municipal clerk, and I appreciate the fact that you value her work as well as her education, but she's dedicated over 100 hours of education, attending conferences to receive her certified municipal clerk's certificate. So if she can join us real quick, and I can pass this on to her. So it takes over 100 hours of education hours, and I know that you guys are proud, we are proud of her, and so thank you very much. Thank you. And congratulations. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you all for coming out, and you go ahead.
I just want to say thank you so much for your support. Thank you. Thank you to city manager's board too. Thank you.
And on behalf of all of us, just want to say thank you for all that you do for the city. Congratulations. I mean, whether it be through elections or through the normal course of business, I mean, you're just very much appreciated for all that you do for the city. So thank you. Yeah. All right, so now we're going to move to the audience sorry about that. All right, so now we are going to move to the audience to be heard portion of the meeting. So if there's anyone in the audience that wishes to be heard on an item that's not on the regular agenda or that's on the consent agenda, please come forward, state your name and address, and you'll be given 3 minutes to address the commission.
Good evening. Tori Charles, 1507 Cedar Street. Thank you, Mayor and Commissioners, for the opportunity to speak with you tonight. As our community continues to grow, so do our safety concerns. And back in 2016, a community council was formed to help the city learn about safety issues. At that time, the lack of continuous sidewalks along Cedar Street was noted as a priority to be addressed. Since then, the safety concerns for pedestrians and cyclists along Cedar Street has grown greatly. Some of the reasons it has grown recently is due to the increased traffic, our wonderful events at Holly Farms brings. The parking for such events, the overflow parking for such events is along Elm Street. The easiest and best way to get there is via Cedar Street. In addition to Folly Farm events, many travelers find Cedar to be an easy and convenient way to safely head north or south along McMullen Loop due to the intersection having a traffic signal. Here are a few travelers that utilize Cedar on a daily basis. Residents who reside along Martha Street, parents of Safety Harbor Middle School students for drop-off and pickup, businesses in our industrial park, as well as their employees. Also, our very own fire department utilizes Cedar Street for non-emergency ingress and egress to the station. And lastly, on tonight's agenda, which is a side note, I see where there's a request for a zoning change for the property along Cedar Street, which would thus increase the traffic along Cedar Street. I feel as a community, we value our pedestrian cyclist safety, and due to the Elm Street property rezoning request, increase of events at Folly Farms, and the construction of 3 more residential homes along Cedar Street, I feel this is a pivotal point in the growth of our city to address the safety concerns and need for continuous sidewalks along Cedar Street. I know this is not an easy project. That's why back in 2016, it never happened. But if we don't do it now, when? When somebody gets hurt? Let's hope not. Let's hope we can address it before. It is going to take a real innovator who can think outside the box to come up with a solution and provide a safe passage for the pedestrians and cyclists along that street. So I challenge you tonight to be one of those groups. But I just want to take the few moments we have left, and I want people to understand. So Cedar Street is a main thoroughfare in and out of our city. It has sidewalks in front of some of the residents, but not all of them. So I kind of looked, and if we start off at McMullen Booth, the gutter company, no sidewalk. Then there's a 20-foot right-of-way, which is owned by the city or county, undeveloped, no sidewalk. Now we have 2 new homes under construction. I'm assuming they'll put in sidewalks that lead nowhere. Then there's an existing home with a sidewalk, another new home under construction which will have a sidewalk, an existing home, no sidewalk, a 40-foot right-of-way, again, by the city or county, I'm not sure who owns it, again, undeveloped, no sidewalk. Then we have 3 existing homes, no sidewalks, undeveloped private property, no sidewalk, a drainage ditch, and then the St. Pete Waterline property, no sidewalk, and Bethlehem Church parking lot, no sidewalk. Ultimately, it's only 5 privately owned properties and 4 city or county owned properties that are not
Tori, I
currently
gotta,
have. Am I over my 3 minutes?
yeah, I just said, and it sounds like you're also talking about an item that's on the agenda, so when that comes up, the zoning for the, that area.
Elm Street.
Yeah, Elm Street, we can discuss that further, and if you want, you can,
I
share
just want to
something.
bring it to your attention. I don't know
Okay.
if people realize there's no continuous
Right.
sidewalk along Cedar Street, and it would be wonderful if we could address it and figure out how we can have continuous sidewalks along Cedar Street.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
It's pretty dangerous there, just so you know.
So
I use that street, it's dark.
back in 2016, I believe it was county right away. Now it's city right away, so we'll take a look. But I understand, she is correct, there are challenges out there and we have to get very creative.
All right, maybe we'll chat a little more about that during the agenda item. All righty, anyone else wish to be heard?
Hello. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, Commissioners. My name's David Hale. I'm the new Executive Director of the Maddie Williams Neighborhood Family Center, although I've found it's easier to introduce myself as the new Janet around town. Folks know that one a little easier, but it's my pleasure to be here tonight just to thank you for your ongoing support of the center. Of course, Janet leaves very large shoes to fill. We are a cornerstone of the safety net of Safety Harbor. We're very proud of the number of individuals we've been able to serve. You see some purple shirts behind me. Those are volunteers, they're staff, they're board members who are serving between 150 and 200 families a week with healthy food. Over 20,000 it served in a year. And as you may have heard, we're getting ready to expand the center. So I have the easy job of thanking you for the support you've pledged for that and for committing to working with this commission and all of our neighbors to make sure that that project goes smoothly so that we can continue to grow to serve the growing demands of the community. So thank you for having us tonight.
Thank you, David. Thanks for coming out and introducing yourself. Yep.
Jonathan Brewer, 424th Street, Safety Harbor. I just want to find out, is it okay for the audience to make a request that number 3 for the consent calendar be pulled off that to discuss?
One of us can make that request, if we so desire. Yeah, the audience doesn't make the request. One of us can make it, though.
Okay, well, I'm making that request.
Well, you're allowed you're allowed to discuss it now, like, you're
I
allowed to
thought we
comment
couldn't
on.
discuss things that are on the consent calendar.
You can talk about consent, just not normal
Yeah,
agenda
let me
items.
pause this for you, hold on, all right. Audience to be heard, this portion of the meeting is available to any individual desiring to address the city commission on a matter that is on the consent agenda.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
so you can talk about that.
So you can
if
talk about it now.
excellent. What I wanted to find out from the commission was what would the process be for residents of the community to put this item, the library improvement project, on a delay? There are several reasons for that delay. I think you all are certainly aware that there is a proposal afoot for development of that property. I think a presentation has been made to all of you individually. Additionally, since you approved that project moving forward, there's been some significant changes in parking being available and being permitted for the project that not only changes the library project, but it could potentially change the parking criteria for 201 Main Street and the businesses of Tiki Tavern and Water Oak Grill. So there's several issues afoot that really need to be addressed, and then adding $4.2 million in that budget to a basically functionally obsolete building, I don't think is a good investment. So I have several other topics to add to that. If you would like to take it off the consent, I can go through those very quickly. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to be heard?
My name is Michael Dealey. I live at 1200 Brookway, Safety Harbor. I'm here tonight to just simply say thank you to the deputies of the Pinellas County Sheriff's Department. They come out to the Bayshore Terrace subdivision and they give us a hand controlling the parents from the school. Otherwise, it would be an absolute zoo to live there. And I want to thank the deputies for what they do and coming out, because I think it goes unrecognized so often. And I'd just like to say thank you to them. That's all I got to say.
Thank you, Mr. Dealey.
Janet Hooper, 601 Fifth Street South, Safety Harbor. I'm here for the other half of the team project for Maddie Williams. Back in May of 2022, we made a proposal to you. We asked for $350,000. You gave us $250,000 and said, come back if you need more. In the 9 months that we got the permits, all the prices have more than doubled. We put it out to bid once. We didn't like the bids. We put it out to bid a second time. The lowest bid we got was $1.3 million. So I have put out a request to all of you, and it's, just so you understand, this is, the county has come through. The county has come through with additional funding, which I think you saw in the email that I sent all of you, and willing to foot a significant amount. But I'm back here in front of you. I asked for $200,000. I would hope that you could find a way to help us. We're in the midst right now of partnering with the library to help with all the programs that are going to be displaced there. And we've been a great partner, I think, with the city and a great partner with all the residents. But it's very important. We have to move forward. We can't continue. We can't put it. We've already got a construction company. We're already moving forward. So I really do need to find out where you guys are and what you're willing to do to help us. And I'll answer any questions.
So when do you need a no by?
Before the next meeting, if that's what you want to know, because I had asked Matt in January to come here at this meeting to make a full, because we're trying to move forward. The county has already made a commitment. We're waiting for the administrative signatures to come back on their half.
Okay, so I got a couple of questions. So
Okay.
you asked for 250. You got 250 already. You're asking for an additional 200.
Right. We asked for 350. You gave us 250 and said, come back.
And now so total of 450 from us.
Right.
And how much has the county given so far?
They gave 385 and then 660.
385, then 660?
Yes.
Is total 660 or in addition?
In addition.
Yeah, in addition to 385.
All right, so you're getting 1.045 from the county, you're asking for 450 from us, that's over the 1.3.
Well, it's actually 1.395 if you want to be specific about what the contract is. And if there are any changes, it would force us to obviously pay some extra dollars. That's the only reason we asked for 200,000.
And how many square feet is the whole building?
1,545 square feet, but part of it's renovation and part of it's new construction.
Okay. All right, I'll open it up to the commission, see if anyone else wants to jump in.
The increase is based on just increased construction costs? No change in footprint or no change in design?
We actually tried to see where we could make some changes, where it would make any sense in the savings. The architect is here, actually. If there were any significant changes we could make that save a significant amount of money. The problem is, as you all are learning with the library addition, cement has gone more than doubled over the last year. And most of the other stuff is more than doubled in cost, and that's the problem. So,
Is it 350 or 450?
what?
Is it 350 or
We
450?
had originally asked for 350. We are asking for another 200,000. We got 250. You gave us 250. We asked for 350. Okay? I asked for additional 200,000 because of the increased costs. So,
It's 450.
yeah.
I'd like to weigh in. I'm very supportive of this request. We just had an entire Florida Trends, I think this was the Florida Chamber of Commerce, article detailing the Alice report about how families who even are employed, families who have money, are struggling. And we fill that gap. And I personally see Ellen and team out there feeding so many families every week. And these are families who are working families, many of them. They're not sitting at home, they're working and they can't make it. And I think you help us with our potential homeless problem because you fill that gap. If somebody needs emergency utility or even emergency housing, you help. So you help with the food security or insecurity, you help with the housing, you help with job information, you help with clothing. So I think you do so much for our community that I'm all for the additional 200. Thank you.
I mean, I think this is a noble cause, but I'm just talking to the commission pretty clear because we're gonna have to start choosing on what we spend money on. I mean, this is a noble cause. I mean, we're going out there, we wanna build parks on Elm Street, we're put pickleball courts up, you know, we expand the recreation center.
Purchase the property behind
Purchase
Coastal
the property.
Cantina, library expansion.
We don't print money, this is not to you, this is the commission here, I'm talking to our commission here. We don't print money here, there's no printing machine that prints money. And it's, you know, the library edition is another one. And I know I can go out there row by row and everybody's got a need and a want, and I'd be happy to suffice everybody and say yes, 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 yes. But unfortunately, in life, you gotta pick and choose. And we have to pick and choose, and we've got a lot of stuff right here. In fact, even on this agenda, we've got some more items here some more money to spend. You know, we can argue that the money's coming from, you know, penny for Pinellas, it's coming from here, it's coming from there, and stuff like that, but just because there's art money and it doesn't give us the right to be, you know, spending money like crazy, because a couple of years, things may change. This is nothing against I think it's more noble than a lot of other projects we take. You know?
I know exactly where the money is. I was a former commissioner, I sat up there, you know that. So I look at the budget, I get that. I also understand the need, and that Safety Harbor is actually a food desert. There is no place for anybody to go and get food if they don't have a car and can't get to the grocery store. There is no grocery store in Safety Harbor, just so you know. So that's why we serve so many people in terms of the food pantry. But there's all the other services we do as well. And this also will be used by the community. So we already have groups that come in and use our facilities.
Janet, you mentioned that you had a construction company
Mhm.
already underway, that whatever this total amount is something that's doable within that number. The 1.3.
Well, yes, I mean, as you all know, when you have changes, there are certain unforeseen things. I mean, a miracle could happen and prices could fall. I wouldn't bet on it. But I think this is an investment in a part of the community that hasn't been invested in very much. That's where I come from.
No, that wasn't my question.
Yeah.
My question was just that for this 1.395, you have
It covers-
a
it
group
covers,
that will
right.
actually be able to put it in
Correct,
for that
that
amount.
is right.
I'm sorry, what were you saying? If there's what?
I wanted to make sure, I wanted to ask whether for that 1.395 million total, that there's actually a construction company available under contract to build it for that.
Right,
So
there
that
is,
there's
yes.
not another
Right.
increment potentially
No,
coming.
no.
Okay. And the funding potentially versus where we got the 250 from for another two? Do we have room in there, or where would we be looking for?
Well, we would look in either general fund reserve or capital fund reserve. I would want to just double check that penny funds are eligible. I believe they are. We've used penny funds in the past for capital projects for, well, at least other government agencies. So we would want to check there. But those are the two buckets that you'd have to take from one of those two buckets or a combination of both. So that's where it would come from.
And my sentiment is, I wish this was a regular agenda item, so we'd have audience to be heard, et cetera. And my feeling is, if you take from one bucket, that's gonna be less to the other, you know, I mean, it's just, if we put another 200,000 towards Matty Williams, it almost seems like, well, then we gotta take 200,000 off the table from the library. I mean, I agree with Commissioner Diaz. You can't, we don't print money. We only have so much. And if you want to prioritize things, you know, certainly feeding people and helping people and the service that Matty Williams does for not just our community, but all of North Pinellas County is tremendous. It's huge. I mean, they're the biggest heart in North Pinellas, and they save a lot of people. They help a lot of people. You know, the library is a nice thing, but the question is, you know, one's feeding and one's a necessity and one's not. So, you know, my feeling is I'm supportive of Matty Williams if, you know, I'd like to get them monies in order for them to proceed with expansion, but then it almost seems like we got to take it from somewhere else in order to. In other words, where does it end? At what point do we say enough is enough? And I just think that library, I mean, I've looked ahead, $4 million for the library to construct it. That's a huge amount of money. And I'm all for the expansion, but there's only so much money to go around. And I just hate to kind of go backwards financially as a city. I think we don't know what the future holds, but at the same time, it is a quite worthy cause for all of North Pinellas. So I've got no problem with the additional funding, but I do agree that it's gonna have to come out of another bucket somewhere. And I just hate to see us go backwards financially to do all these projects, but.
I'd like to weigh in. I am sitting here saying to myself, again, back to what I said about the need in the community, which I think you back up. And I'm also thinking the library is something we've been planning. And we have had the finances analyzed and we have been supportive. And so when I put those two topics together, and then I think about pickleball, which I love and support, and which we are going to have a grand opening on Saturday for our 400,000 plus pickleball courts, I'm apoplectic, whatever the word is, that I don't recall this conversation over pickleball. I don't recall the conversation of how can we do this for the community? How can we provide this recreational outlet? Because we have all these other things and we'll have to take out of some other bucket. So I'm not the most adept financier in this room, but I say to you that if we are supportive of recreation, and we are supportive of our library, I also want to be supportive of Maddie Williams. And I think that our finance people are very smart. If Mr. Spoor says that we can look at Penny, we can look at Penny. If he says we can look at reserves and we can make this work, we can look at reserves and make this work. We have, and Commissioner Mers, don't scold, but we have very healthy reserves. I was naive about how much reserve money we had, but I have been educated lately. So anyway, I just want to make these things happen for the community. And I don't have the sense that we're going to be destitute if we don't help recreation, fine arts, and the poor. So thanks for listening to me. Sorry I got excitable.
What's the expansion going to be used for?
For a variety of things. Different community groups will be able to use it. We're going to offer classes for, especially for seniors, a lot of seniors. We'll have some meal service for seniors during the daytime. So it's an expansion of a lot of different services that we already do, plus actually expanding into more of the senior realm because that's such a need right now.
This, like, for classes?
Well, classes, educational daycare are coming in and doing, we've done a lot of stuff where we haven't been able to do them during the summer because of summer camp. So we could have some health classes. We have different groups that have always asked to be able to use, but during the daytime they can't because we don't have the facility. We have night groups that come in, so it would be a better meeting space for them. And obviously allow us to do more, serve more people. If we do hot meals once a week or anything like that, it'll have a full kitchen in it, so.
So you're going to be expanding the food kitchen or no? Or the food pantry rather?
The food pantry will be improved. It'll be a full walk-in refrigerator and more space for them, as well as space to do classes and education. So it's both. It expands it both ways. It's that whole side of the building. It's going to be redone, renovated, and then expanded. So it's a combination of a lot of different pieces to the puzzle. So like when we did COVID, we had to do it outside because we had no place to do some of those things. Same type of thing. It gives us space to be able to do bigger activities and also educational activities for families that need it. So it's a combination of all the services that we already do, including food, and expand the food pantry ability of the food pantry with a walk-in cooler, more storage space, that kind of thing.
Can I say one more thing? I'm also very encouraged by the fact that you listened and you went to Pinellas County and they're supporting you heavily. They also have extreme competing needs for this entire county. And they looked at you and your facility and what you do and your financials, and they said yes, to the tune of, please remind me, the commitment.
1.045 million.
From the county.
From the county.
Thank you.
I guess my question is, you talk about the county supporting it. Is there another facility like Maddie Williams in North Pinellas?
Well, certainly the CAP Center up in Tarpon is similar. It's a neighborhood family center. There's the Clearwater Aquatic Center that has the neighborhood family center, but it's not anything like what we do. We probably have the largest food pantry in the area. And so that's, other than the one down by Gulf to Bay that's run by Calvary.
So if you had to count numbers of Safety Harbor residents versus outside of Safety Harbor, what percentage of residents do you service in Safety Harbor versus?
We're probably at 50 to 60% is Safety Harbor directly. And then obviously we have those people that are right on the, we're limited to 4 zip codes. So, it's Oldsmar, Eastern Clearwater, just those 2 zip codes in Clearwater, and then Safety Harbor. So the majority of the residents we serve are Safety Harbor, and the majority of the seniors we're serving are Safety Harbor.
So let me just first say, I mean, I think what your mission is incredibly important to the city, and I agree with everyone up here that, you know, the first thing government needs to do is provide safety for its residents, and I think putting, you know, helping people with utility bills and putting food in their mouths is, you know, it's a safety net. So I think there's a role for government when it comes to that, and obviously, you know, supporting an organization like yours, which we've been doing over the years, is something that, you know, I think we're all proud to have done. I'm just struggling, to be honest with you, with the dollar amount. Like, when we're talking $1.4 million, you know, I can't help but think, wow, what if we just, instead of putting $1.4 million into an expansion, if that money went to people, I'm just, and I know it's not
that way,
I know it's not that easy, but I'm just thinking, like, you know, I struggle with the library expansion. I was like, man, this is a lot. Do we need it? And, you know, I ended up supporting it, but it wasn't an easy decision for me. I was torn on that one. But the library expansion does have a lot of meeting space. And I'm listening to Ms. Hooper talk about how a lot of the expansion is going to be for senior meeting space. And I'm thinking maybe we need
Some
of it.
Some.
I mean, so the food pantry is going to be improved, not necessarily expanded.
Well, it will be expanded. It will be expanded. And with the walk-in freezer and all of that, it's going to all be renovated, so it's going to be more efficient and they're going to have more space on that whole half of the building, because it's part renovation and part expansion. So, but, you know, Joe, I'm sorry, Mayor, it doesn't quite work that way. You look at the dollar amount and say, well, wouldn't that be great if we just gave them all $1 million and let them go eat? It doesn't quite work that way. And quite frankly, up until the library expansion, you couldn't rent a room at the library. You couldn't, because it was always booked. And so part of the reason for nighttime meetings is to be able to allow people to have more space, because there was a lot of demand in Safety Harbor. This room will hold 100 people. So it's the combination of being able to utilize the space at nighttime for those who need it, and also to be able to expand our services and expand the facility for a food pantry. Because that whole area is going to be renovated. So.
I personally think 400,000 from the city,
450
from the city is a lot more bang for the buck at the Maddie Williams Neighborhood Family Center than the $4 million we're about to spend on the library. That's just my opinion. So
You help persuade me to vote for the library.
Exactly. What's that?
You help persuade me to vote for the
I
library.
know. I'm starting to wonder, you know, kind of, because where are we going to get all this money from? You know, we may have to cut some corners of the library. But I think we've got to. I think you got to weigh people over space. And I think the service they're providing.
Why don't we just table
Take a
this
top.
till
That's probably a
till
good
the end
idea.
of the meeting?
That's
I
probably
wouldn't even
good.
go to the end of the meeting.
I don't
Table
know.
it to the end of the meeting.
I want it on as an agenda item versus
I see.
just throwing it up
But I
in
think
front of us.
she's in a hurry.
Well, I had requested in the beginning of January to be an agenda item. I don't choose the agenda, I could just request. That's how much weight I carry. So that's where we are.
I'd like to check as an agenda item.
Why don't we table this for now? We'll bring it up at the end of the meeting. We'll talk about what our options are for discussing it, because this could be a 2-hour discussion hypothetically, and we haven't even started with the regular part of the meeting yet. We haven't even got to the consent agenda. We haven't even got the audience to be heard yet. So I'm not ready to decide on this right now during audience to be heard. I need to think through it. I need to talk to the city manager. I need to think of what other options are. So I'm not ready to make a decision right now. I don't know if anyone wants to make a motion.
I move that we table it to the end of the meeting, or we place it as an agenda item on the next meeting. The problem that I'm having is we need to see the full spectrum of, you know, financially, where's all this money coming from, and how the library is going to affect, you know, I mean, we've got other city projects keeping the water and sewer going, et cetera, et cetera. So I'd kind of like to have a broad-based understanding of, you know, we're about to, I guess, as one of our agenda items is the library, you know, a contract coming up, and we can discuss further there. But I'd like to see the big picture financially versus just making a decision without seeing the big picture. So I'd move to either table it for the end of the meeting to further discuss, or actually put it on the agenda for the next meeting.
I would be more support, I mean, this could be a long one. I'm more supportive of making it an agenda item. I know you guys have a time crunch, but I mean, I don't think most of us are prepared right now to make a decision tonight. And by the end of this meeting, it's gonna be late. We're all gonna, I mean, I don't see.
So I'll make a motion to put it on in the next city commission meeting, so we can discuss fully the financial aspects of moving forward. I don't think there's an issue with anything other than we'd like to understand financially how this is gonna impact the budget.
I think I would agree with that I don't think anybody has an issue per se, especially in light of the fact that no change to the design. So whatever was approved before is still gonna be done. It's just a function of the fact that there's an additional fee or additional charge.
Additional fee, yeah, double, more than double, yeah, that's an additional fee.
Right, so in that particular case, it's not that there's something new here or something, I mean, if we were comfortable before with it, and the content, we're probably comfortable again with it, it's just
So is that a
where we're
second?
getting the money.
Is that a second? to
That
my
is a
motion?
second, yes.
And I have a comment. I really hope that it's okay for you to wait and that this timing is fine, because I would like to hear from the community
So it
about
would be
this.
when, the 17th,
19th.
19th? Okay.
Because it would be very interesting to see the community come out. I would really love it.
Okay, we'll make sure we have people here to tell you all about it. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Didn't get voted on.
Oh, yeah, all those in favor,
Motion,
He
Commissioner
seconded.
Murs seconded it.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
Thank
All right. Anyone else from the audience wish to be heard? Okay. Moving to the consent agenda, we have 3 items. First one's approval of the January 16th commission meeting minutes. Second is approval or denial of Bands of the Bay date change request. And 3, approval of a contract for construction management services with Long and Associate Architects for the library first floor lighting upgrades and second floor addition. Anyone want to pull any of those?
Poll number 3.
Do we have a motion for items 1 and 2?
Move approval.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. All right, Commissioner.
Yeah, I wanted to pull it because there's 2 things there. There's the first floor lighting upgrades and the second floor addition. Why is that on the consent agenda, the second floor addition?
Okay, so you already approved the all-phase general contract construction last month. This is construction management to oversee that contract. This is not the contract.
Not the contract.
No,
It's a
that
general-
contract has already been approved. It's already been signed. They're gonna start next week. So this is just construction management services for the first floor lighting and the second floor addition. You had funding in the CRA budget for both the construction and for this. Long and Associates did the design and permitting for the second floor addition and the first floor lighting, and they began that in 2020, January and October of 2020. And we're asking them to stay on to assist with construction management services because it's a large project. And
That's when we had our discussion about where's the money coming from, the CRA, et cetera, versus what we would give the Neighborhood Family Center.
And I wrote down notes for information to provide for that agenda item, including, yes, these are different pots of funding. Clear different pots of funding.
And this management is designed to keep the overall project on track and under budget so that you've got a second pair of eyes watching it?
That's right, daily.
So this is not the general contract, this
No, that was all phase general contractors, that was approved. Thank you, Michelle, December 4th.
Good with it? I'll move to approve number 3.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. All right, so public hearings, Matt, we need to move new business number 9 up to the beginning of this?
Yes, please. We're going to move new business number 9 needs to be considered before you can consider public hearing number 1 or 2. So we're going to do new business number 9, and then we'll jump right back on.
All right, so new business number 9 is ordinance number 2024-04 on first reading. Izzy, do you want to?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. Ordinance number 2024-04, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Safety Harbor, Florida, amending the future land use map of the City of Safety Harbor Comprehensive Plan for a portion of the property located south of Cedar Street and west of Elm Street, Safety Harbor, Florida, from institutional I to recreation/open space R-OS, finding the request consistent with the requirements of the City of Safety Harbor Comprehensive Plan and the Fort Pinellas Countywide Plan, providing for transmittal to reviewing agencies in accordance with the requirements of the law, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. Mayor and Commissioners, this has been a reading of ordinance number 2024-04 by title only on first reading.
And Commissioners, it may also make sense to have Isabella read the ordinance title for the rezoning because the presentation covers both. If that would be acceptable.
To do that, and that's ordinance 2024-05, correct, Ms. Thunmark?
It
Yes.
is public hearing number 1.
Yes.
Yes.
2024-05.
Ordinance number 2024-05, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Safety Harbor, Florida, amending the official zoning atlas of the city for a portion of the property located south of Cedar Street and west of Elm Street, Safety Harbor, Florida, from single-family residential R2 to public and conservation P, finding the request consistent with the review standards of Section 226.03 of the City of Safety Harbor Comprehensive Zoning and Land Development Code, the City of Safety Harbor Comprehensive Plan, and the Fort Pinellas Countywide Plan, providing for severability and providing for an effective date. Mayor and Commissioners, this has been a reading of ordinance number 2024-05 by title only on first reading.
Good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. For the record, Cecilia Chen, Community Planner, GIS Analyst. So before you is a zoning and future land use amendment. This whole project includes 5 parcels, but this presentation only concerns the first one. And I'll come back later for the presentation regarding the rest one.
I'm sorry, Ms. Chen, the rezoning is quasi-judicial, so we need to have her sworn in. And we would want to refer to our quasi-judicial script as well.
The mayor's got it.
All right, let me, I need my
Yeah,
cheat sheet here.
he-
This is a, all right, since this is a quasi-judicial hearing, this public hearing is quasi-judicial. All decisions will be based upon competent substantial evidence presented at the hearing. Comments will be considered only if they meet the merits of the case. Unsubstantiated testimony and popular sentiment cannot be considered as a basis for a decision. Okay, so let's see if there are any intervening parties in the audience. You want to describe what an intervening party is?
Yes, Mayor. An intervening party is someone or an entity that has an interest in the property that's subject to this hearing that is larger than the community at large, but who is not already a party to the hearing, which would be the owner of the property or the city. Examples of having a greater interest living within or operating a business within 500 feet or owning property within 500 feet of this property or having a mortgage on the subject property, something to that effect. Is there anyone here who would wish to be considered an intervening party? Hearing none, we can move forward.
All right, so has anyone on the commission had any ex parte communication with the applicant?
No.
Yeah, okay. All right, so you can move forward then?
So before you is a zoning and future land use amendment for only the first parcel, and I'll come back later for all the rest of the four parcels. So a brief history about the project areas. So basically, these project areas are under different ownership currently. So all these yellow parcels over here, these 3 and the big one, are currently owned by the Pinellas County School Board. And in 2009, this is where the secondary school used to be located, and it was closed and demolished in 2009. In 2012, the city and Pinellas County School Board entered into a lease purchase agreement. So currently, the city is leasing the property, but doesn't own it yet. And then in June 2023, the City Commission adopted Resolution 2023-11, an agreement to accelerate the purchase of all these yellow properties between the city and the school board. And the resolution also entered an agreement for purchase and sale between the city and Habitat for Humanity for affordable housing projects. So all these 4 parcels will eventually be affordable housing projects. So basically what the city is doing for this entire Elm Street project is going to purchase all these yellow parcels, and the city already owns this land. And the city is going to purchase all of these and keep this big one for recreational open space use, and these will be habitat properties. But we'll talk about that later. So today, this presentation, we're going to be focused on the zoning and future land use amendment for this big red parcel over here to get it ready for recreational open space use. Any questions so far? Awesome. So the Planning and Zoning Board was on January 10, 2024, and the Planning and Zoning Board unanimously recommended approval for both ordinances. City Commission hearings today, and the adoption hearing is on May the 6th. So between the both commission hearings, the application will be transmitted to Fort Pinellas for review, and after the adoption, it will be transmitted to state for review. This presentation will be about this. So this site is approximately 5 acres. And currently is on vacant lot, and here's a little bit of parking space that the city's been using for like overflow parking. And the proposed use is recreation open space. So here's a photo of the site. This is a tiny parking space. It's mostly a vacant land. It has like an old basketball court. It used to be from the school board. It was not demolished. Mostly a vacant spot. So currently the future land use is institutional use. The proposed future land use is recreation open space. So institutional future land use is for areas appropriate for public, semi-public. The primary use shall be schools, colleges, hospitals, medical clinics, churches, etc. And proposed use, recreation open space, is intended for passive recreation areas, active recreation areas, such as tennis court, ball courts, swimming pools. And the secondary use shall be agricultural light, public park, and recreation uses. The staff finds the future land use amendment to be consistent with the standards stated in the code. So, and for the rezoning, same site, the current zoning is single-family residential R2, and the proposed zoning is public and conservation. Single-family is like a stereotypical single-family residential permitted use, or like single-family public education facilities, etc. And proposed zoning, public and conservation. And this is a list of all the permitted use, but only the highlighted ones, number 3, number 7, 11, and 15, are compatible with the recreation open space future land use. So rezone into public and conservation, so this land will only be permitted at public parks and recreation facilities, golf courses, public marinas, and community gardens. Staff finds the zoning atlas amendment to be consistent with the standards of review for amendments as provided under the report. So tonight, the City Commission may approve with modification, or deny the 2 ordinances.
All right, well, thank you very much. Any questions?
Yes. Yep. So the recreation open space, essentially, we could turn that into a park, we could turn it into a playground, we could turn it into, right, lots of those uses.
So
Yeah.
these will be the permitted uses.
Public parks and recreation facilities, right there.
Pretty much just like all our parks throughout the city,
That's right.
waterfront, et cetera.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyone else? All right, this is a public meeting. Does anyone from the audience wish to be heard on this item? Yep, please come forward, state your name and address. You'll have 3 minutes.
Ms.
think you
Telesco,
gotta
can you
get-
swear this gentleman in? Or, and anyone else who would like to speak to the zoning item?
Hello, everyone. My name is Michael Ballard. I am a student from St. Petersburg College. I do a report on this case item. I would like to add that, the addition of the park is a wonderful idea. The additional benefits that it does provide to the community, recreational spaces, as well as the green zone that it can provide. A lot of these, a lot of hidden benefits in addition to reading a report that says that for every dollar spent on parks and conservation, the state of Florida saves $3 on mental health services and other state medical costs. So in addition to that, plus, being a community center, and I think that with the parks, it can help provide, the values of the housing as well as preserving a lot of areas that are being urbanized as more and more people are moving in. I would like to add that I believe that this park addition is very useful for a lot of people in Pinellas who are looking for areas to go to, and I just wanted to give my support for it. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for coming.
Thank you, Mayor and council members, for allowing me.
And just your name and address for the record.
My name is Valentina Benari, 2625 State Road, Atlanta. I am a student in Public Policy and Administration at SPC College. Tonight, I would like to express my support for agenda item number 1, the proposal to amend the zoning atlas for single-family residential R2 to public and conservational, the property located off Elm Street and south of Cedar Street. I believe changing the zoning from residential to public conservation, envisioning it as a park, it is a positive step for several reasons. First, it gives children the space that they need and provides physical activity and safe and enjoyable environmental for families. Parks play a vital role in community. It is a way to manage health problems, reduce the risk of obesity, and promote a healthy lifestyle. Parks provide space for exercise, recreation, and relaxation, contributing to improve physical and mental well-being. Second, having a park in the community provides residents with stress relief benefits. Green spaces have been shown to improve mental well-being, reduce stress, and improve overall mood. It will be a valuable tool for individuals seeking a peaceful escape from the hustle and bustle of everyday life. Third, a park fosters social relationship and community engagement and reduces social isolation. It is a central gathering place for neighborhood and gives residents a sense of belonging. Such social connections are critical to build a strong, supportive community. In addition, the presence of green space also contributes to improve air quality and play a role in reducing flood risk. Moreover, well-maintained green space have a positive impact on the property values and property taxes. In conclusion, I support the amendment of zoning from residential to public and conservation, envisioning it as a park. It is a way to promote physical and mental health, community well-being, and economic and environmental benefits. Everyone benefits from green spaces. Thank you, Commissioner, for considering this, and I appreciate the opportunity to share my view with you. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. Anyone else wish to be heard on this? Please come forward, state your name and address. You have 3 minutes.
We also need to swear this person in as well.
Is there anyone else that's going to want to speak on this item, just so we know? Okay.
Jacqueline Hayes, 690 Elm Street, Safety Harbor. I'm not opposed to the Habitat housing, but does the city need another park? I don't like that idea of recreational if it's going to be another city park as someone who lives in the neighborhood. I think there could be better uses of that open space. And that's all I need to say. I'm not really feeling, I'm sitting here and I said, recreational? No, not another park. I'm just concerned with vandalism and kids hanging out and people and stuff on my wonderful, quiet neighborhood. I'm not opposed to neighbors. I'm just opposed to a lot of activity. I don't mind when Folly Farms parking comes, they come and they go, and that's, That's not all the time, but as someone who lives in that neighborhood, I am opposed to recreational activity. Thank you.
Thank you. Okay,
I would like to mention that we received one public comment and it was not included in your agenda packet, so it was printed and placed on your table before the meeting.
okay, any further discussion or a motion?
Which motion number are we referring to here, since there's two done? Is this 2024-04 and 03, or?
So number 9, okay.
Yeah, 2024-04 ordinance.
So this is new business number 9.
We need one for new business number 1 and number 9, so 2 different motions, I would suggest.
Okay, so let's start with new business number 9.
Are you open for a motion?
Yes.
I move to approve ordinance number 2024-04 on first reading.
Second.
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. All right, so now we're looking for a second motion.
Ordinance number 2024-05 on first reading.
This is new business, correct?
No, this,
That is just public
now we're on
hearings.
public hearing number 1.
Okay, that's what makes sense, because
Yeah.
business.
We
one
were
is
new
not.
business 9, that was
My
just
apologies.
approved, and now we're on public hearing number 1. Well, actually, it's public hearing, now it's public hearing number 2, because what you just heard was public hearing number 1.
I'll make a motion to approve ordinance number 2024-05.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. All right, motion passes 5-0. So next up is ordinance 2023-12.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance number 2023-12, an ordinance of the City of Safety Harbor, Florida, related to impact fees, providing for uniformity and consistency of impact fee administration and procedures, adopting updated schedules of public safety impact fees, sanitation impact fees, library impact fees, and sewer development fees, adopting a schedule for the new park and recreation impact fee, classifying uses of property subject to such impact fees, providing definitions, rules of construction and findings, providing for the use of impact fee monies collected, providing for exemptions in connection with impact fees, providing for the calculation of alternative impact fees, providing for changes of size and use, providing for payment and collection of impact fees, providing for impact fee credits, requiring periodic review of impact fee studies and this ordinance, declaration of exclusion from the Administrative Procedure Act, providing for notice of the updated schedules of impact fees adopted hereunder, amending and restating section 24.09 of the City Code of Ordinances regarding sewer development fees, providing for the repeal of sections 7.36 through 7.43, sections 8.18 through 8.22, and section 10.15 of the City Code of Ordinances and Article 15 of the City Land Development Code related to impact fees, providing for repeal of conflicting ordinances, providing for severability, and providing for codification, and providing for an effective date. Mayor and Commissioners, this has been a reading of ordinance number 2023-12 by title only on second and final reading.
All right, thank you very much.
Mayor and Commissioners, I'm not planning to do a full presentation. We did so at the first reading. Since your first reading, I have not received any comments from the public, and that ordinance has not changed.
All right, any questions for Marcy?
Yeah, did I read it correct? Is the sewer fee for non-residential is going down from $4.60 to $104? Is that correct, or did I read it? Look.
So currently it is around $600 per house because they usually have one water closet and then people usually have 3 water closets. So it's usually around $600 for a residence. And today, year 1 would be $675 and it's going to graduate up to $900. So people will be paying more for sewer over time.
For non-residential.
It's the same. So there's one fee for residential and non-residential for sewer. That's proposed. So it's $675 for year one, then it goes up to $900 by year 4.
And this is assessed on new builds, right?
That's correct.
And what is the actual ruling on when renovating a home or something like that? What percentage is it?
It's unit for unit, so if in terms of renovation, if they're not adding on new capacity or another unit, then they wouldn't have to pay impact fees if you're referring to a remodel. But of course, we have to analyze every situation on a case-by-case basis.
Or if there's one residential unit there now and they raise the house and build a new house too. But as the city attorney said, we do evaluate, but we evaluate each individual application as it comes in.
So that's decided right here in Safety Harbor?
The ordinance actually contains some good procedures for making that determination.
What was your answer to Carlos's question about if you raised the house and then you built it back? Was that if you put it back to the way it was, but in new construction,
Well,
is this apply or not?
it's just one residential unit. So if you have one residential unit and you're adding and you just have one residential unit, then a lot of these would not apply. I'm not gonna say all of them because you have to do the whole evaluation, but a lot of these would not apply because you have a home, you're putting a new home in where you had a home.
So raising it and putting a new home back in that was
Just
similar.
one, yeah.
Is still considered one, so that.
But now if you take a home off of 2 lots and build 2 homes, now you would owe for one of those homes.
Impact fees are all about growth, supporting the growth and being able to, accommodate that growth,
Yeah.
so.
We're seeing less and less impact fees as it's redevelopment versus, vacant land that's being redeveloped, yeah.
And again, these fees and the structure was a function for those that are not familiar with it, resulting of the consultant that we had that evaluated what we had in comparison to other communities and came up with these rates.
That's right. Well, evaluated our community and came up with these rates based off of the cost to provide the services, because the last time it was done was somewhere between 1976 and 1990. It's been a while. It's been a minute. So we're looking for a motion to approve or deny ordinance number 2023-12 on second reading.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Anyone from the audience who should be heard on this? All right, motion passes 5-0. Moving on to new business. All right, investment advisory services, retirement plans, discussion.
Good evening, Mayor,
Contract.
Commissioners, City Manager Spore, Terry Kearns, HR Director. Back in November of last year, we went out to and published an RFP for investment advisory services for the city's 457 and 401 retirement plans. After going through the RFP and evaluating our candidate or our vendors that were selected, the respondents through the selection process, we had One Digital, AMCO, and SageView Advisory Group were our top 3 respondents. Staff is recommending tonight approval for the city manager and city attorney to finalize the contract with One Digital as the investment advisories for the city's 457 and 401A retirement plans. And there will be no budgetary impact.
That's good to hear. Any questions for Ms. Kearns? Anyone from the audience wish to be heard? Do we have a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to approve RFP number 2023-01-HR.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. All right, thank you. Next up, looking for selection of classification and/or compensation study scope.
That's me again.
Okay.
So back in November, again, the city commission had committed to a citywide compensation classification study to be done. In your package, you would have seen options A and B. Our first option is a comprehensive study. That comprehensive study could be a detailed analysis of all our positions in the city to include the organizational structure review, the city's current pay plan, conduct a classification and compensation study, which includes job analysis and job descriptions for all general positions, as well as part-time and temporary or seasonal positions, and recommended changes where appropriate. The estimated timeline for a comprehensive study like this could be up to a minimum of 6 months and could cost about $100,000 plus. So here I am asking for money. Option B is a classification and compensation structural study, which that'll be the analysis of classification of compensation and as it relates to our city's current pay plan and compensation data and collection of analysis. That estimated cost and timeline would be a maximum of about 6 months and up to about $65,000. Now, in addition to option A and B, staff is highly recommending to add a total rewards package to that RFP. And what that means is it's going to be a comparison of our limited benefits. So benefits such as medical, dental, vision, flexible schedules, city funded wellness programs, retainment and hiring bonus, merit and COLA payments, tuition reimbursement, kind of all those intangible or non-monetary benefits, non-cash benefits.
Okay, I have one. During prior discussions, there were discussions about maybe one department having a position that was similar to another department, but it was slightly different named, and so it would seem to me that the comprehensive study, as I read it, would look at all of the different departments and try to either equate or potentially eliminate any issues that may occur between a position 3 in one group and a position 4 in the other that exactly are doing the same amount, but maybe one is listed and gets a higher pay or something like that. Will that be part of this comprehensive, looking at all the departments and all the positions?
Correct. The comprehensive study would do that, but the compensation structure could also look at the same thing. So for example, our pay plan will have several grades, and within that grade structure, you'll also have positions slotted to that structure. So if we had a consultant that came in and looked at the pay plan and said, wait a minute, this position, let's just say, an IT manager, for example, is in the same position as another manager in another department. Does it make sense within that same grade? That consultant will be able to help us identify whether or not it's adequate.
And provide some overall equity and equality between departments, I presume.
Correct.
So there's a $35,000 max difference between the comprehensive study and option A and option B. Which one of those would be best for you as an HR and be able to appropriately, when it's done, make it easier and more fair for you to deal with staff?
Wow, you put me on the spot. So, so I will say compensation and classification is never easy, right? You will always have departments and people that are just not happy with the results of the study. There's no easy way of doing compensation. It's multifaceted. It really depends on the organizational culture too. So when you're looking at compensation, if I said if we wanted to get it done in 6 months, which if you do, then I would say do the classifications, the option B. But if we wanted to take a little bit more time and deep dive and look at every single aspect of our plan and our job descriptions, then option one would be your better option for that.
We're in it already for a fair amount to do it up to maybe 65 versus 100. So I would lean more towards the comprehensive study just because it would probably overall benefit the community and not needing to do two different studies or another study later on. Is that a legitimate evaluation?
That's correct. I would say so. If the comprehensive study, if option A is the direction that commission wishes to go forth with, we can move forward with that option. However, I will say it will also require a lot of time and commitment from our departments as well, because this can't just be done internally with HR. It will require departments to take the time out to look at their job descriptions, analyze how much time, kind of do a time study on each of their positions and how long it takes to do certain tasks.
Yeah, I would hope, though, that our department heads would want to do that too, because it would allow them to better evaluate their people and be able to respond to comments from their people as well. So I think it would make it perhaps better for them too to be prepared to answer questions that were brought up by staff as to why or whatever.
I do think that you're absolutely right. Some department heads would probably prefer that. I will also tell you though, in doing a few of these myself, that I've seen it where at the end of the study, they're still going to say, we have comments that, wait a minute, this person's not doing as much as I am and they have this, or we get down to the minutia where someone's now putting down, I've done this for 2% of my time, and so how do you calculate those things? So, yeah.
What do you think? I think when we started down this road, though, I thought we were gonna do just a pay study versus a whole big classification study, which is a comprehensive study, which is I'd like to, I don't know, have we ever had a comprehensive study in the city?
Well, we did the Cody study back in 2007. No, the Cody one was before that one.
I don't think it was comprehensive.
Well, it was closer to comprehensive than it was closer to A than it was B.
Gotcha.
But we wanted to give you the option because we didn't want to go down this road and then someone say, well, why didn't we do it this way? I will just jump in and say that either one's gonna be fine. The immediate concern that we have is that the surrounding larger government agencies or organizations around us have all increased their pay, and significantly too. So there are employees that are trades worker threes in a certain division in our city that could go work at the county or Clearwater as a 1 and make more than they are as a 3 here. And so that's our immediate concern. And so strictly from a time perspective, the sooner we can do something, the better. And we already have. So thank you. The commission's already done something to help this year. But looking forward, I think that I don't know if the general employees I think they would appreciate something being done either way, but I don't know if the time it's gonna take to do A, and then in that time, are we gonna lose more people? We're down 50% in sanitation again. So we had a gentleman leave today, and one of our new hires today didn't show up. So we have 15 people in that department, and 7 are filled.
So my feeling is that we go forward with option B so that we can get it done quick. And that was my understanding when we kind of went down this road, was we're going to do a pay study. And I think we're a small enough city where we have a lot of people with a lot of overlap. And I think if you start getting into this classification minutia, personally, I think it's going to complicate things because you got a lot of people that are doing multiple jobs. And I don't know how you would come up with that, just because of the size of the city, how you would, I don't know that that's a benefit to try and get specific classification versus pay. You know, I think pay is more important, I think, than what's my job title. But
Surprises me, though, that the amount of effort that it would take, and I agree, it would take a lot more to do the comprehensive, that's only 1/3 of the total cost.
well, it's 100 plus.
Well, yes,
So
I guess.
let's say it's 150.
Right,
So it's
Because
double.
it says 100, but one's a plus and one's a minus. I mean, it's kind of hard to determine which,
I think what
where
you'll
we're
find,
at.
what you'll find out with A is that our staff will be doing most of the work. I think basically they come and they guide everything, and at the end of the day, I don't think there's gonna be much of a difference from what we currently have now and what they're gonna propose.
So to just give you a gauge, we did reach out to a couple of other cities that did, had a different option. So, Dunedin did their comprehensive study last year, and theirs was about $130,000. And that was an organizational structure review to ensure that there wasn't any redundancies with positions, and again, that job analysis template. City of Largo, I believe, just had one done late last year as well, and theirs was roughly about $40,000, and that was the classification and the compensation. So there could be a substantial difference in
cost and
in
time
cost.
between the two. Okay. Good discussion.
Like, he's checking it out. All right, I think I'm leaning towards B. Anyone from the audience wish to be heard on this item? Any further discussion or motion?
I'll move to approve option B, which is the classification system and compensation structure.
Can I add one thing?
Oh, and along with the additional compensation so that we're comparing apples to apples, because some cities pay more, but they don't provide the additional compensation, stuff like medical, vision, et cetera. So my motion plus the additional compensation.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0.
So Commission, just so you're aware, we will put it out to bid, and then when we have the RFPs come in, we'll rank them and bring them back to you for approval before we actually start the process. So that's the next step.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, so now you're looking for direction on the 4th of July celebration?
Yep.
Hello, Mayor, Commissioners, City Manager Spore, Andrea Norwood, Leisure Services Director. During the June 19th, 2023 City Commission meeting, the fiscal year 24 budget update included an increase in the general fund for the July 4th celebration, would be show options, by $45,000 for a July 4th total budget of $80,000, which includes the city and Pinellas County's Sheriff's Office staffing and event logistics and activities. Options to include it was a drone show in replacement of the traditional fireworks or remaining with a traditional fireworks display. Staff solicited 2 local drone companies for a July 4th proposal with the following results. Triad Drones declined to bid because they did not have the date available, and Celestial Drones put in a bid of $45,000. The Celestial Drones proposal consisted of a 27-minute show with 300 drones to allow for 3D imaging, 2D monument imaging, such as like flags or the gazebo or other local images, and have that all to music. The drone setup is very similar to the fireworks on the north end of Waterfront Park. Fireworks show, the staff solicited local fireworks companies for a July 4th proposal with the following results. As a reminder, we did have some issues last year with finding a company. Fireworks Displays Unlimited did not respond. Firepower Displays did not respond. Explosive Touch put in an offer of $25,000, and that is the company that did our show last year. Explosive Touch proposal consisted of a 15 to 17-minute show with 3,488 shells ranging in size from 1 inch to 5 inch. The size of the shell shows you how high the fireworks go. Fireworks setup will be on the north end of Waterfront Park with a no spectators fallout zone area. All setup and inspections are in coordination with the Safety Harbor Fire Department Fire Marshal. So tonight, staff is seeking direction for the event display option, whether it be drone or fireworks, and recommend City Commission approval for the City Attorney and City Manager to finalize the contract agreement with the selected show vendor. Myself and Joe Cooper are here to answer any questions you may have.
All right, so July 4th, Thursday this year.
Question. The drones. I understand the discussion, I'm probably gonna sound miserly here, but $80,000 for 4th of July just seems like a lot of money to be spent for that type of show. But
Well, $80,000 is for the total event.
total event,
Yes,
right.
and we increased it
I know,
because of the
and I
discussion
remember
from
the
last year.
discussions
Yeah.
as to why
should
we
charge
wanted
the
to
Yeah,
charge
so we can go back to the 35,000 if you want, but we increased it so you would have options.
Right. Let me just ask about the drones, and obviously it's neat to be looking in the future and new ideas and new things that are being done. But I know a lot of times I end up watching the fireworks on North Bay Shore because it's kind of far away and it's hard to get parking and stuff like that. So fireworks you can obviously see from a fair distance away and not necessarily be in close proximity, but how far away would the drones be visible? Would you pretty much have to be pretty much in the vicinity of
Like right at the park?
right at the park, or is it more than that?
Joe, did they give you any direction on what the visibility is? How far away?
Depends on how clear the sky is.
As opposed to a laser show, let's say, that you might be able to see from.
The laser, so you'd want clouds,
You
yeah.
want clouds, right?
The drones would be actually flown out over the bay, kind of off of Waterfront Park between the pier and the boardwalk. So it would be out over the water. So you would be able to see it from North Bay Shore. But with some of the, like, the flag, like a flag or some kind of other decoration there, it's gonna be 2D. So unless you're really in the park, you'll be looking at the side of drones. So it wouldn't be, you wouldn't get the effect unless you were in the park.
Thank you, Joe.
The drones are coming down in price, it seems like. I don't remember it being where I was like, huh. Last year I was like, well, that's clearly prohibitive, but they're getting closer.
It is. They've come down from about $300 per drone to $150 per drone. And that's why I was hoping to get the Safety Harbor company, Triad, because they are willing to, being that they're here in the city, they're willing to help out as much as they can. So, but again, they're a smaller company, but they do drone shows. So in the future, that's always a possibility as well.
So I'm leaning towards sticking with fireworks, but maybe talking to Triad now for 25, because I'm willing to give it a shot and see. I mean, maybe it works, maybe it doesn't, but I'm willing to give it a shot. And if they're willing to be competitive with fireworks, maybe that's something down the road. But that's just my thoughts. Anyone else?
So when Triad quoted you, they quoted you per drone or per time span, or?
It's per drone.
Just per drone?
Yeah, if you look in your backup materials, there was, from the Celestial drones, it did show you a couple pictures of what happens if you only hire 100 drones versus what 300 drones will do. And our quote was based on 300 drones.
But it was a longer show too, right? I think it was almost 30 minutes versus 15, 17.
Kind of like big screen TVs, they start out
Yeah.
here and now you can buy one for $100.
All right, anyone from the audience wish to be heard on this? Sure. State your name and address. You have 3 minutes.
My name is Michael Ballard. I am from the city of Seminole. I one, I typically don't, discuss the issues of another county or another city because, some people might look at me as like, oh, someone from outside the city. However, I do have experience dealing with fireworks, that we have a lot of people who do illegal fireworks shows in the neighborhood, and they can go for days, weeks, months even. People will set off fireworks often illegally, often in groups, and the environmental damage is extremely negative. I mean, we have a lot of nesting birds, especially we can imagine in the city of Safety Harbor and Pinellas County. It is a big hotspot for migratory birds, a lot of seasonal living birds, and oftentimes the birds will, the mothers of the birds will often get so terrified by the firework explosions, they'll often leave their young to die, and because of that, there will often be many kill-offs and many die-offs of the new nesting birds, and in addition, there's a lot of pollution that would end up going into the water from fireworks compared to drones, specifically nitrogen, phosphorus, and other contaminants that, if not cleaned correctly, and especially with our water quality in Pinellas County, there's always the risk of that additional runoff that can always complicate things. And I believe what's even more important to look at is possibly the noise pollution. There is a big senior citizen population in Pinellas County who might have issues with the firework explosion going off, and if so, it can trigger mental health issues, it can trigger PTSD episodes and other health complications, which would be not found if in the drone show. And possibly you also got to look at the possible tourism from people who'd be interested in seeing the drone show compared to the fireworks, specifically people from Pinellas County who want to see something new, who want to see something that would be, something that would differentiate it in the compared to competition-wise. Because I know that a lot of people in Pinellas County or a lot of municipalities would be doing fireworks shows, so to be able to say that you're the one municipality that is doing a drone show, it really brings in a lot of tourism from the people who want to see that, and it would definitely put you guys on the map, which is very interesting to look at too, especially when you're looking at generating new sources of income. You can think about how that would actually support a lot of the local businesses and people who would be supporting that. So I think that that is also something to consider as well. Thank you so much, everyone.
Can I ask you a question? Did you just come up with that right now?
Yeah, that was good.
Yes, on the spot.
You
Yes,
did
sir.
kind of persuading me.
That's very impressive.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much. You have a wonderful day.
Except for the fact that it'll generate revenue for the city, maybe the businesses, but not us. But yeah, I hear you. Yeah, thank you.
Make sure you show your professor that.
You made me think of something, our owls, our baby owlets, are they gonna be startled?
Anyone else wish to be heard? All right.
Could I ask one more question? How much are the drones? Specifically the drones?
$45,000,
$45,000?
and the fireworks, $25,000.
25. And the drones don't cause that terrible, like, PSTD inducing
They don't have the loud
bang.
booms, no, they don't have the loud booms.
I would lean for the fireworks for this year, and I would try to maybe some kind of experimental thing with the drones at some other holiday, because I think,
For 45,000, just.
well, it doesn't have to be 45,000.
I think it'll keep, I think they'll keep coming down in price
I think it
as
could
more
be
companies are
something
doing it. Yeah.
attached to July 4th or something.
We'll keep our eye out if that's what the commission wants us to do.
Oh, could I ask another question? Could you please keep your eyes open for people who are doing this so that we could perhaps go and observe what they did?
We have been.
Oh, have you seen it?
I haven't seen, did you?
Seen it?
The Clearwater Aquarium had 2 drone shows that had been fundraisers for the aquarium. They were approximately 10 to 12 minutes long. I went to the second.
Just okay? Okay.
I mean, it's because, as somebody mentioned, it's a new technology.
They're getting used to it,
Like
okay.
when the big flat screens came out years ago, we were all enthralled with those. Now it's part of life. So this is part of the same thing. And as the technology gets going, the drones will come down in price, and it'll be easier to do a show like that. But you're right. I had thought about doing something at another event just to test drive
introduce it,
Yeah.
Would you guys come up with some ideas for that, for some kind of test event? Okay.
45,000.
No, 40.
So was that, Commissioner Diaz, was that a motion to approve the?
That's a motion to approve the fireworks show for July 4th.
Second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Motion passes 5-0. I would say I'm interested in maybe seeing what Triad could do next year, if we get them on the radar early enough. But, yeah, sounds good. Okay, moving along. All right, discussion and direction for the future development of the 5-acre Elm Street property.
Thank you, Mayor. That is also me. At the December 19th, 2022 City Commission meeting, a motion was passed to enter into negotiations with Habitat for Humanity for the development of the up to 6 lots on the vacant Elm Street property and leave the remaining land as green space. Throughout 2023, negotiations with Habitat for Humanity were completed and a transaction closing date will be scheduled for the spring of 2024. Throughout the Habitat for Humanity approval process, city staff presented the community with an urban farm concept consisting of the following elements, which would be a food forest, community garden plots, which could be an expansion of the current common ground community garden rental plots, a community farm, which would be educational production fields and animal housing. It would include a pre-manufactured shade or storage space with a rain harvesting system, a solar irrigation system, a hydroponic, aquaponic area, and some event parking. Included in your packet was a video link that could give you the possibilities of what could possibly be out there, not necessarily what we're intending, but just what could be. Leisure Services staff continue to research volunteer efforts, partner possibilities, and facility visitations, with staff visiting the Fat Beat Farm, Patty Johnson Farm, and the St. Pete Youth Farm to gain stronger knowledge with best practices and procedures for educational offerings. Leisure Services and Public Works staff partner to incorporate the best resiliency and sustainability practices with the goal of creating a model facility on the Elm Street parcel for residents and visitors to learn and adopt on their own private property. Folly Farm's environmental education offerings continue, however, limited space and topography constricts urban agricultural opportunities, whereas the Elm parcel is conducive for growing opportunities. The proposed scope for use for the Elm Street parcel will satisfy the following goals, which would be the City Commission 2020 goals, the City Commission's Ready for 100 pledge, the Florida Recreation and Parks Association, which is FRPA, the strategic plan within the health pillar, Leisure Services and Recreation's fiscal year 24 divisional department goals for natural environment, alleviate common ground community garden waitlist of over 40 plus waitlistees, and the resiliency and sustainability plan for green spaces in urban agriculture. So tonight, the next steps after this would be to attain City Commission approval on the master plan scope and concept, which is what we're here for tonight. Construct property ingress and egress access from Cedar Street because of the Habitat homes going up on Elm. Attain a CCNA consultant for design and permitting of the property. Land Development Code amendment for permissible animals and limitation on the number of animals. A comprehensive plan glossary amendment for permissible animals. Attain necessary conditional use approval and construct design improvements. The approved 5-year Penny for Pinellas Capital Improvement Fund, which is our CIP, allocates $165,000 for consultant design services in fiscal year 2024, and then $250,000 for development construction services in fiscal year 2025. So tonight, staff is here to request City Commission discussion and direction on the future development of the remaining 5-acre Elm Street parcel. Myself and Recreation Superintendent Shannon Schaefer are here. We can answer any questions for you.
Thank you, Ms. Norwood. Yes.
Oh, please lead off. Please talk to me about Folly and about potential vandalism or potential problems. I haven't heard of people wandering onto Folly, causing trouble, messing with people's gardens. I was hearing, or I tried to listen to Ms. Hayes's concerns about being a neighbor to the property, but what do you foresee? Will there be restrooms that will be open 24 hours that could potentially draw problems? Or do you see conflict? Can you see a problem?
What staff is envisioning is more of a closed area, obviously, because we don't want it to be accessible 24/7 to the public. So it would have to have some type of gate system on it so that it would be closed. As far as vandalism and theft, there have been some theft going on in the garden plots themselves, and we've been working with Common Grounds on education because there is a misnomer that we do have our community orchard on that property at Folly. And I think a lot of people get a little confused as to what's the community orchard and what the garden plots are. So we're working on a strong educational element to kind of show people the community orchard is within the park throughout. Any fruit tree, you know, is open to the community, but the garden plots are privately, you know, maintained. So,
So you're answering my question. So it's making off with tomatoes and cucumbers, but not making graphics and destroying.
oh no, we've had no, other than that, we've had no vandalism out at Folly, none.
I appreciate it.
I just feel like, what's the rush in moving forward with spending more money developing a park? That's just I'm not sure that there's Folly Farms. I'm not sure I feel like I want to move forward with developing another kind of a Folly Farms #2 location. It just, I don't know. It just feels like it was a concept put forth by staff, but I don't know. I know the rest of the commission may want to have some farm-like atmosphere out there, but I'm not sure. Years ago it was going to be a softball field. That didn't happen. We're talking about spending money on the Maddie Williams Center, slowing things down. And it just seems to me like, why are we rushing to kind of turn this into, I know we changed the zoning, et cetera, but why are we rushing all of a sudden to do something with a vacant property and put another, I guess, farm up? So I'm not sure. I'm kind of.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I agree with you. I think we're going a little bit too fast on this. And particularly, I'm not too sure that this concept really fits that area right there, that with the neighbors. I think we need to get a kind of a weigh-in from the community, from the homes around the area, as to what they want in that vicinity. I think we have Folly Farms is right there. That's a pretty impactful place, pretty impressive, right? I think putting put a secondary Folly Farms within a block away, I just don't think it really fits that neighborhood. I mean, maybe the community that's what the community wants, but I don't think the community has weighed in on that. And the last thing is that I don't think that at this venture right now, we're sitting here in February, we're having an election here in a month and a half. Perhaps maybe the future commission will have a different idea. I mean, why are we're starting to really spend a lot of money where we're tying the hands of the future commission. Yeah, everybody says penny for Pinellas. It's not our money, right? Yeah, it is our money, right? Because that money can be used to do sewers, streets, curbs, whatever. If it's used for a park, right, it can't be used for something else. And in 2030 or 2031, the economy's going the other way when people aren't buying stuff, right? We're going to be like, look at our streets, right? That's the kind of thing that I'm kind of looking at. So.
Can I just clarify one thing? The scope or the vision for Elm Street is not expanding Folly. The scope is to bring that property so that it is a source for the community to get food. There are going to be some open areas where the farming on those plots would be then given back to the Maddie Williams family, or maybe it's given back on certain days where people come and pick up whatever is being grown and harvested at that time. And we're not looking to put private garden plots on that whole property. A portion of it, yes, but a big portion of it is the educational and what it can give back to the community in regards to a food forest and what we can grow as a community and then distribute back to the community. So there's a definite delineation between what's happening at Folly and what the scope of what staff is looking for at Elm.
Yeah, I wanted to echo that because I've heard it say as Folly too, but when you look at that, I think it's a totally different thing. I mean, it's a garden, so that's the thing which is the same. But you know, the opportunity there to learn and to do education on differing types of agriculture, how to produce different things, you know, the interaction like what they do at the beet farm, you know, to be able to, whether it's hydroponics, whether they're different growing techniques, whether, you know, people are learning agricultural skills. So there's an educational aspect to it. I agree there's a community involvement. We had some discussion just earlier today about, you know, the recreational aspect. This would definitely not be a recreational situation.
Not an active recreation site,
Right,
no.
Right, so there's not gonna be people there doing sports, you know, lots of parks and stuff like that. I mean, it's a situation where it's a park, but it's a park that, you know, people can use. I could easily envision, as you just said, extra crops that are generated can be provided back to the community,
Yes,
right?
that's the goal.
Right, and so that can help with the Maddie Williams getting extra fresh product, right?
Produce,
Right,
yes.
so this thing she was talking about as a desert, right?
Mhm.
It's a way of helping that and providing fresh material back to the community. And not just handing it, but people in the community can be helping grow it,
Exactly.
right? And so I could see community events where whatever you're raising, you know, a couple times a year, you could be providing, I don't know, radishes or squash or various things, right? There'd be something in the fall, there could be something like,
In the spring, the
in the
summer, sweet
spring,
potatoes,
exactly,
yes.
right, you know, strawberries, you know, various things, right? So it's an educational thing. So I understand and I appreciate the discussion, but I don't see it as Folly 2. I see it as a totally different thing, but just the only common denominator is that it's a garden, right? But it's a totally different focus on the garden.
Correct.
And can I please go again? I have to jump on that because of a trite expression. You give a person a fish, you feed the person. You teach the person to fish, that person has food for life. And so I see it ties perfectly with the article I quoted earlier from Florida Trends about food insecurity. And Ms. Hooper isn't just blowing smoke about the insecurity, food insecurity. They have a cabinet right now at Maddie Williams where people can go and get fresh food that other people have donated excess. And it goes. People take it. They're introduced to new things. And I think it just fits with Maddie. It just absolutely fits with an educational opportunity and with the community and with the neighborhood. And I wanted to say one more thing about it. Before my mother came to live with me, she was at an independent living senior facility in Illinois, and she had a garden plot, and many seniors did. And my brother, before he died, helped her with it, and they cultivated all sorts of food. She couldn't eat all that, so they would bind up what they couldn't use each week, and they would take it down to the common area, and they would have a market, and people would come, and for pennies, they were able to get the food, and then that money would go toward programs that they wanted to have. And so I just see it as a senior opportunity as well. It's not just for kids.
Yeah.
It's for all ages. They'd feel important, and they would feel that they were doing something to help others also. So
Yeah.
thank you for listening.
The link that you provided showed things like, you know, collection of water through cisterns. and-
Correct.
Right, and you could be learning about different types of ground cover as opposed to grass, you know, and the water difference in this water area that sometimes we have droughts and sometimes we don't, but that
And
whole,
actually, the layering of trees is
Yes.
a big thing too, when you're growing your orchard.
right.
Mhm.
And so all that can be part of this process that people can come and learn and appreciate and
Exactly.
participate, not just watch. So I think that makes it.
And one more thing, excuse me, we have Mike Sutton's promise too, Habitat for Humanity. He wanted to be involved. And I can remember a dollar figure, but I don't want to
It's
shout it out.
$5,000
I think
per
5,000
lot,
per lot.
so $30,000.
So he's going to throw some money toward this.
Well, Habitat will.
So I think I'm with Commissioner Diaz and Vice Mayor, where we do have an election coming up in March. And I just say we're gonna do a goal-setting session, I assume, when we do that, and let's just see where this prioritizes when we do that.
Okay.
That's my suggestion, but I think, you looking for a vote? No.
Well, directions, so I mean, we don't need to belabor the conversation. If the direction from the commission is that you want to talk about this during your goal-setting session that will be scheduled for April, that's fine. We will bring, I mean, a 2-month or 3-month delay isn't going to hurt anything. So, there are members of the public here that have hung out, so we may want to take public comment, before you give direction, only so that they can be heard, if they so choose to be heard.
Anyone from the audience who should be heard on this item, please come forward, state your name and address. You get 3 minutes to address the commission.
Yeah, I'm Kevin Holler at 1481 Cedar. You're talking about putting an event space right in front of my house. I don't really look forward to having a parking lot with cars and people coming. There was a proposal for livestock. It's not something that I really want. You guys talked about going out and talk about the immediate community, and I think that's a good idea to talk to everyone. I think something that's not really being addressed here is really the condition of the road. This is not like a sleepy area. This is actually a truck route, and we've got semis going up and down the street all day long. So you want to bring more people into this area, but then are you going to have the capacity for that? I've lived here for 10 years. There hasn't been anything done to the road. There hasn't been anything done to stormwater. You guys just now have something for sewer and fresh water. But I think you're going to try to cram all this in here. You've got now 6 new homes, which might be, 10 to 20 people. I think you really should look at the capacity of the roads and what that's going to do for all of us surrounding that area. Because I do, like Mr. Diaz had said, we do have Folly Farms. They've got area for expansion. So I'm not really understanding why we need another area for growing food. You guys are cutting down a lot of trees in the areas. What about like a community forest or something like that? We're running out of green space in this area. So I figured something that we could keep the quiet area going as opposed to having event space or animals or anything like that where people can come in and going. So that's my statement.
Yeah, thank you very much. Anyone else?
Good evening. My name is Barbara Bronson. I live at 725 Elton Street. I've missed several meetings, so I'm kind of getting caught up here. But Andrew, you mentioned a link that you have to show what it is. Is that link available to us? Because what we've seen here is just very limited, so it's not giving me much information. And I would just like to take a look at it.
Are you playing that video?
We can, would you like us to play it or no?
I don't want to prolong the meeting, but I would like to have
Well,
access to it.
how long is the, I think it's access to the public, because there's a link in the agenda, so.
It's only a couple of minutes at most.
Up to you, Mayor. If you,
think
there is
we
a
can-
link in the backup material that's online.
Okay, and.
Yeah, I think we need to try to keep things moving.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we all have the link.
If I can get that,
Yeah.
I'd like to take a look at
The
it.
link, so if you look at the agenda item online, it's in the backup. And maybe Ms. Norwood can email you the link if you give her your email address.
Okay, that's
Okay,
fine,
great.
that's fine. Okay,
Okay,
thank you very
okay.
much.
If you don't, I have it, so.
Yes, you have it, thank you.
Anyone else which should be heard? Okay, so do you have looking for anything else, man?
The direction I heard was bring it back for discussion during the goal-setting workshop in April.
Okay. All right, next up, Harborside Christian Church, faculty usage agreement.
Thank you, Mayor, City Commission. This year, the City of Safety Harbor needs space for continued library and leisure services classes and programs as a result of the library expansion, second floor construction, the Rigsby Center renovations that are going to be scheduled in this fiscal year, and then also our partnership with the Florida Sheriff's Youth Ranch. We've been put on notice that they are months away from beginning some renovations to that facility in 2024. So there's going to be 3 facilities that are used right now for library and leisure services, programs and classes, and we're looking for space. The city reached out to Harborside Christian Church. Actually, Harborside Christian Church reached out to us initially, and we sat down with them and had several meetings. We've developed a general scope of a facility usage agreement that is in the agenda backup, and I'll just go over the bullet points real quick. The library would use the meeting rooms as available for current programs and space needs. Leisure services would utilize meeting rooms for recreational programming, summer part-day camps, Monday through Friday during the 10 weeks of the summer, and to assist with any displacement from the Rigsby and Florida Sheriff's Youth Ranch renovations. The city would use the open field, playground, and parking for special events hosted at Folly Farms. There would be no charge for scheduled usage of the facility by the church. City staff and/or instructors would be on site during all programs scheduled. All usage would be coordinated and scheduled in advance and approved by HCC. And then another component to this that is outside of the usage agreement, but we would include some language, is a public walking trail. So the idea is, in your backup, you have the maps and the layout of the HCC property and the city property. If you'll recall, 10 years ago now, the city partnered with HCC and we swapped land. And then in that land swap, they also built a secondary access for their church. So the idea would be to partner with HCC on a 1 mile meandering walking trail through the open space out there. There's a lot of walkers that utilize this area, especially every morning. And so the idea would be to work with them on a partnership where we would put a walking trail in, and the goal would be 1 mile. There is some wetlands, so we'd have to see if there's any wetland impacts, things of that nature. So there's a whole bullet point list of a scope that we could include.
I have a question. Is
Yep.
that 1 mile walkway on the unimproved area that the city owns or on the church?
So the idea would be that it would be a combination of both. So it would be a combination of both area that's currently owned by the church and then area that's currently owned by the city.
I walk that.
You walk your dogs in that area.
I walk my dogs, I walk that area, and there are coyotes back there. There are a number of bobcats back there. I would be opposed at this point unless we do further investigation on how it will impact the wildlife back there, but there's a lot of wildlife back there. There used to be several deer running around back there. We think the deer got eaten, but for a while I think there were like 3 or 4 deer, and then they disappeared. But literally, you can go back there and you can, when it's dusk, you can go back there and see coyotes. It's a lot of wildlife, and I just hate to start unless I have some understanding of how it's going to impact the wildlife back there at this point. It's just a nice preserve, and I think people can benefit from. If you want to walk, everybody that walks through there walks all the way around the church through the parking lot. It's already about 1 mile long. So that's why I don't understand why they want to put a walking trail through probably the last wild area, unimproved area of Safety Harbor. And I just,
So for the discussion, the actual vision of the walking trail is what we would have to work with them on. So, but there's no commitment right now other than the commitment to work with them on a plan, and then if the city commission wanted to assist in funding. But
again, I think that's something that we should discuss in April amongst our visioning. But again, my feeling is you start having people walk through the woods and this and that, those animals are going to start taking off. And you can see them when you're walking on the roadway. There's a drainage pond. I was back there probably a month ago. Coyote on the other side just watching us walk through. There's a big bobcat back there. It's just, it's kind of neat to see, and I just hate to disrupt whatever small little microcosm of environment exists in Safety Harbor where all these animals live. So I'd be opposed without further information from wildlife conservationists to tell us this is how it's going to affect it. It's kind of like you got the eagles and you don't want to disrupt them and send them out of Safety Harbor. It's kind of neat to be able to go in your backyard and see wildlife in Safety Harbor. It's hard to believe it's here, but it is here.
So, but the other aspect of
I
it.
don't object to any of the other
Okay,
aspects
all
of
right,
it.
okay.
I just don't want to see a walking trail without having a better understanding of how that would impact the potential wildlife that we have left. So
Fair enough.
that's just my opinion.
I had similar thoughts about the trail. I also wanted to ask about the rooms. I presume that no other space is available to take care of these, for the library expansion. I know there was discussions earlier that Patty Williams takes some of these locations. There's obviously the Rigsby Center, there's other locations that, people could go to in this short period of time during the library
Sure.
expansion.
So the library has already moved programs to the Rigsby Center, to Mattie Williams, and to the museum. So they've used those 3 facilities to move, and they still have other programs that are looking for housing. Keep in mind, about half the library is going to be shut down for a year, because when they're working up top, there's no one going to be below it. So the entire children's wing, the entire meeting room space, everything when you walk into the library to the right will be shut down to the public. So our library will be a third or half of what it is now for the better part of a year. And so you also have to look at the fact that the Florida Sheriff's Youth Ranch is going to be undergoing renovations this year in 2024. And so those recreational programs that are happening at the Youth Ranch will also have to find space. And then when we close the Rigsby Center for a period of time to do upgrades there, the programs from the Rigsby Center and the programs that move there from the library will have to find space. It's good. It's going to be a year of juggling.
I understand that, so, and I appreciate that, but whereas it's tight, I presume that the analysis has been looked at for space. It's not just, it's gonna be tight. I mean, they've looked at other locations. The length of this agreement, if we are just talking about the extra rooms, is just during the time of the library expansion?
We talked about a year with potential renewals, if it goes well for both parties. Keep in mind, so keep in mind that the library programs are not revenue-generating programs. The recreation programs are revenue-generating programs. So if they cannot happen at the Florida Sheriff's Youth Ranch, or if we have to cancel programs because we don't have space, then we are going to lose revenue on the revenue side of the budget. So we're trying to plan, it's going to be very difficult for staff to juggle all of this. But they have space that's available that is not being used. It is underutilized, except for Monday nights and Sundays.
Probably Wednesday.
I think Monday night we would be off limits Monday nights and Sundays, so we'd be looking at Monday during the day we'd be fine. But Monday evenings would be a no-go, and then Tuesday through Friday we'd be fine.
Long-term, I have issues, I think, with the long-term. If it's just during the time when the library is being worked on, that's one thing. If it's multiple years or longer durations, you see what discussions we have now with the library parking issues and, agreements that are made with different people, and then as time goes by, it gets sold or it gets changed, and then all of a sudden, there's discussions. I think that the city should be able to handle its needs. And so if we need an extra space to handle these buildings, it should be on city property. Having long-term plans with other organizations, however nice that is, and we work very closely with the church, so that's not an issue. But the fact that we can't handle our own needs on our own property, I see as a potential concern, especially in the future, if their plans would change, and then now we have to figure out what to do with, we should have been planning ahead of time for that. So.
Well, some of these programs are currently being held at the Florida Sheriff's Youth Ranch. We've had a good partnership with them for years too. So, so we're utilizing that space now for our existing needs.
See, that's different.
Okay.
The church than the youth ranch. Youth
Okay.
ranch has the pool, we do things with that. I mean, it's a different arrangement than this other entity.
Okay.
My thought was, it was just gonna be as long as they're working on the library, right?
Well, that's the initial discussion, yes, but, so that it'd be a year, or a little over a year, till February of 2025. But we could always put in the agreement that if for some reason it was working or we wanted, but if it was just for that year and that's what the commission wanted, then we could start there. I'm gonna have to go back to them after this discussion anyways and talk about the trail aspect, so. We're also trying to accomplish a usage agreement as quickly as possible if we're gonna go down this road, so that staff can plan. We were thinking April 1st, which is tight, but like, we could start April 1st. And we're gonna mirror it after the Florida Sheriff's Youth Ranch interlocal agreement.
So with this agreement, with this facility usage agreement, that gate that we have on Green Springs and Marshall, we made a commitment to the community that that gate would only be open certain times. So is this going to, are we going to be in compliance?
No, that agreement, it's written in there and that agreement will hold.
That agreement will hold?
Yeah, they'll have to use McMullen booth.
Okay.
They have to use McMullen booth, okay, because they won't be having classes or things there, obviously, within times that are traditionally done for the churches. They have to go around, right? So there's nothing gonna be changing there. They're still gonna keep the two gates and they.
No, in fact, that agreement's gonna come to you this year for renewal. Yeah, it's been 10 years.
And it's been working.
It has been working very well.
No complaints.
No complaints, everybody seems to like it.
No complaints from the neighbors.
Yeah.
None.
Anyone, did I already ask anyone from the audience wish to be heard on this item? No one, all right, so. Are you looking for a motion?
Well, no, I was just looking for direction, so, well, I was looking for you to direct the city attorney and myself to draft a facility use agreement to bring back to you. And we could still do that with the understanding that I need to have another conversation with them regarding the trail and also regarding the term.
Wouldn't the trail be separate from the facility use agreement?
It would, but part of the fact that they're not charging us for the space was that we would begin to work on the trail with them. So if the trail's kind of either off the table or a separate item, which is fine, which can come in April, then I just need to make sure they're still interested in the usage agreement with a to be determined about the trail discussion come April. That's how I'll approach it.
So I'll be honest with you, my first thought with the trail was, that sounds like a great idea. Listening to some of the concerns, I was like, I understand the concerns. The church may be thinking the same thing. They may be thinking, well, we didn't think of it like that, and they may be thinking, well, if those are concerns and they're valid.
And I think the church really just wanted to explore what the possibility was, because we do know there's wetlands out there, so you're gonna have to go around those. And so there's some areas that you couldn't even put a trail on because of that.
Yeah.
So, so I
It's
think.
interesting, you don't see anybody I mean, they have a workout area, they work out behind the church, maybe there's like half a dozen people that'll work out so many mornings a week. But you don't see anybody from the church walking that area. You see people from the neighborhoods that surround that are walking through there.
And of course, the trail is, there's a cost associated with it. The whole meeting has been about discussions of cost, right? I mean, going in there now and putting in a mile trail through, working around wetlands and various things, I mean, that potentially could be, not that it wouldn't be a very useful and nice thing to have, but there's a big cost associated with that.
$400,000.
We were thinking shell, but yeah,
Well, sure,
so,
just
yeah.
putting it down.
So let me try to summarize what I'm hearing, and then if someone wants to make a motion. The city commission is directing myself and the city attorney to work with HCC on a facility usage agreement to last as long as the library construction, and any trail conversation would come after the election and after the April goal-setting session. I think I got everything.
No change to
Could you
the,
do a year term and then, prior to the year ending, that you could do month to month if necessary in case you can figure out the wording for the contract and do month to month after 12 months? In case the project, the library expansion lasts longer. You follow me? You
Yep,
could do-
go.
you
I mean, it's
could do a
for
term.
benefit to have it go there's no downside to the city to having it go longer. We just don't
You
have
wouldn't
to.
need to. You
Huh?
wouldn't need to worry
Yeah.
about that.
So if that sounds good, what we just said, then we just need a motion.
I'm just saying,
In a
there's
second.
some.
All right,
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
all right. I'll get with HCC this week.
All right, so now we have consideration of a lien reduction request.
Thank you, City Manager. City Commission, the city received 2 code enforcement lien reduction requests for the property located at 910 South Bay Shore Drive for Code Enforcement Board Case 20-006 and Code Enforcement Board Case 21-0461. I'm going to summarize each case. I'll start with Code Enforcement Board 20-006. On February 19, 2020, this Code Enforcement Board found the owner in violation of Chapter 5, Section 5.01D of the Safety Harbor City Code, renovation construction without a building permit, and established a deadline of April 1st, 2020 to come into compliance. The City of Safety Harbor sent an order advising the property owner that a daily fine of $250 would be applied beginning April 1st, 2020, and continuing until the property was brought into compliance. An affidavit of noncompliance was issued on April 14th, 2020. On June 17th, 2020, the Code Enforcement Board received evidence that the respondent had not complied. A lien was recorded on the property. At that time, June 29th, 2020, the property was found in compliance on December 14th, 2023. The total lien amount is $424,821.07 as of January 11th, 2024, which includes $410 in administrative costs and a $15 lien recording fee. A timeline of the enforcement case is in your agenda backup. There's also a justification statement from the applicant and property owner, Jared Burnett, is also attached. The applicant is requesting a decrease in the lien amount by 100%. Staff reviewed the petition pursuant to the procedure set forth by your resolution number 2011-18 and resolution number 2024-02. The petition meets established threshold criteria for processing and qualifies for lien reduction consideration of 70%. Page 3 of your agenda backup has what that would look like. If approved, the lien would be reduced by $297,374.75 for a new lien total of $127,446.32. This would include the $410 for administrative costs and $15 for filing. The approval requires the reduced amount to be paid within 90 days of the City Commission approval date, after which the lien shall revert to the full amount. That's Code Enforcement Board 20-006. And 21-0461. On March 16, 2022, the Code Enforcement Board found the owner in violation of Chapter 5, Section 5.01D of the Safety Harbor City Code, renovation construction without a building permit, and established a deadline of March 21st, 2022 to come into compliance. The City of Safety Harbor sent an order advising the property owner that a daily fine of $250 would be applied after March 22nd, 2022, and continuing until the property was brought into compliance. A lien was recorded in May of 2022. An affidavit of compliance was issued on May 4th, 2022. And the lien total amount is $12,044.55 as of January 11th. You have a justification statement from the applicant in your backup. The applicant is requesting to decrease the lien amount by 100%. The petition, you also have an email that was sent that modifies that request slightly. The petition meets established threshold criteria for processing and qualifies for lien reduction consideration. Because the lien is under $25,000, lien reduction is eligible to review by me. The draft lien reduction letter is attached. Staff reviewed the petition pursuant to the procedure set forth, and it would meet the requirements for an 80% reduction, which would leave a total of $2,818.91. Staff felt it appropriate to put both of them in front of the City Commission so the City Commission could make a decision on both of them together. Obviously, the lien reduction, Code Enforcement Board 21-0461, I could sign that letter today if the city commission directs me to do so, but we've wanted to be fair to the applicant and put them both in front of you. Staff recommends that the city commission review the criteria and establish new lien amounts for both code enforcement liens. The city commission may reduce the amount of the code enforcement lien, waive the full amount of liens, or continue liens in their full amounts. And the applicant has sent a letter in and also an email that I'm sure you've read, and he is here and he's waited very patiently to be heard. If you have any questions for him or if he so chooses to speak, and if you have any questions for me, I'd be glad to answer them.
So I guess I have a question. There's compliance?
There's compliance.
Okay.
Full compliance.
Yeah, I don't have a problem with reductions. I have no problem with the reduction on CEB 210461 to the $2,800. I think that the other reduction to $127,000 from $424,000, that's pretty huge. I mean, I think there's compliance, and I think, in my head, I guess we can discuss it, but I think $127,000, that's a lot of money to, even with the reduction, I still think it's, I mean, I don't know that we've ever had, have we had a fine, a lien of $424,000 come before us before? I mean, that's
Yeah.
a lot of money.
You've had this procedure since 2011, and there's been a couple, but not recently, no.
Yeah.
Not recently.
No, but I mean, we've had something like, 50, 60, maybe 100, but, and those were properties that were being sold that the
Correct, yes.
potential purchaser was seeking a reduction to buy the property. I mean, this is, I don't want to be unfair to other people, but at the same time, $127,000 fine is, once we have, there's compliance now, I just think we need to further reduce that amount. That's just my opinion.
What's your idea?
I'm having a hard time with it. I mean, anything, to me, anything over, say, 50,000 is just, I mean, that's just, it's pie in the sky. So, I just think it needs to be further reduced. I think 127,000, I mean, I can tell you I owe 40,000, 38,000 on my house. I mean, $127,000, I mean, that's a huge amount. And I think if y'all want to hear, I think Mr. Burnett's here, but.
You're thinking 50.
No, maximum 50. I don't know, I want to hear what everybody else has to say, but I mean.
Well, I'll
I saw
start
that
off by
number.
saying this, I'll lay down a marker, I'll say I think that's very high also. And I know what Commissioner Mers is gonna say, we're setting a precedent, and you're gonna look at it from a percentage standpoint, and compare that percentage standpoint to other properties where the dollar amount was a lot less, but as a percentage of the original lien, it would be higher than this one. But again, I think we're a board, we look at things case by case, and when you're talking such large numbers, you gotta take into account not just the percentage, but the dollar amount also. So, and I don't have the exact number, but I'm in favor of a drastic reduction.
Well, that's why I said under
Yeah.
50.
Yeah.
I didn't say 50, I
Yeah,
said,
And I'd be thinking probably a lot less than that, but.
I want to hear what the
So why did
commission
he
has.
all of a sudden come into compliance
Well, yeah,
years?
yeah, the applicant's here to speak. So
I would like to
when you're ready, he can speak.
Anyone want to chime in before we ask the applicant to come
Well,
up?
I agree with everybody on this. I think 127,000 and even 50. All right. But I want to hear him speak because the issue I've had, and you guys know my position on this in the past, is that the only time people come into compliance is when they're refinancing their home, or they're gonna sell the home, or where they're gonna buy the home. That's the only time. So what people do what they wanna do, and I'm not saying maybe mistakes are made also, but, people do what they wanna do, and they're supposed to correct it as soon as possible, but they just put it off for years, or for months, or, until they gotta refinance. So, but I'd like to hear the reason and stuff like that, too.
Yeah, I'd like to hear it too. I mean, obviously, the number to come down to 127, I agree, is a crazy number. But it's only a crazy number because it got to be 424,000. So, you know, I would like to know why it got so big and why it took so long. I did read the background information, and there was an interesting point that when you do have the opportunity to talk, I'd like to hear. I think it was on page, the part where you did the basketball court important facts, and item 3, you mentioned that back in December 13th of 21, the Board of Appeals found that the basketball court was not within the watershed, however, could not make a positive finding, and based on substantial evidence, variance request was denied, and then I guess it just continued on. So that seems to be kind of an issue here as to where is, you know, why is it continuing? Maybe there were some other reasons that we need to know about, maybe. And obviously, there were 2 situations where permits weren't pulled, so obviously, we want to make sure that permits get pulled in the past, in the future,
yeah,
right?
future.
And on particular things, is there some things that we can do to make sure that permits do get pulled, so we don't get into these crazy numbers? And, but then I would like to hear as well.
I think part of the issue and part of the reason it is so huge is because the permits weren't pulled, or because the area was constructed where it shouldn't have been constructed, and litigation involved in this case. And when there's litigation, it prolongs it. So if there was litigation between the homeowner and the city, that litigation is going to be protracted. But yeah, but that's why it would take so long, because until there was a resolution, just the fine just kept rolling over.
Well, one thing for us to discuss after the fact, is if it goes into litigation and that's the case, and it goes on for a long time, does it make sense to have this just piling and piling and piling? I mean, if it goes into litigation, should it be paused for a moment while a decision is made, whether it comes out of litigation?
Well, that's a good question.
From us as a city at that point, because if it goes on for 6 years, this thing keeps going.
The Fluger process began, it's in your backup material, and it's still ongoing. The Fluger process has not concluded yet.
And we've discussed that that litigation expense was not a direct city expense, but it was our carrier's expense. However, that could in the future be passed on to us in higher premiums.
Yes.
So it wasn't a direct cost.
Why don't we hear from the applicant, or the homeowner?
There's definitely some reasons.
Just for the right, just name and address for the record.
Jared Burnett, 910 South Bay Shore Boulevard, Safety Harbor. So the reason that this was prolonged for so long, number one, it started during COVID. And so from the first letter we received, our attempts to respond and ask questions, because we were really in confusion about, why code enforcement had an issue in the very beginning. So by the time we got a hold of them, a lot of time had transposed. When we asked for a variance, we came before the board, the code enforcement board, and basically, before we even did that, we were reaching out to the city. Can we sit down? Can we talk? Can someone please explain to us, what's going on? And, why we can't have this basketball court? Well, it's just code. There was no explanation. I said, I'll come, I'll sit down, or can we try to come up with some kind of compromise or solution? And the city wouldn't really communicate with us. And they said, your option is to go hire an attorney. So I don't like to litigate. I try to stay out of courtrooms as much as possible. But that was the advice the city gave us. So we hired an attorney. We came before the board to request a variance. It was late, like it is tonight. And, it's $60,000, $70,000 in attorney's fees. code enforcement board cut off our attorney, interrupted the ecologist that spoke. I don't know if you guys had a chance to watch the video, because our understanding of this was that over a buffer zone, okay, that the whole thing issue is over a buffer zone. And I don't know if all of you guys are familiar with code. I've learned this, but the buffer zone is between the house and the wetlands. And so it was just a sodded area on the side of our house, sod grass, which when we bought the home, we walked the house. I told the contractor, this is a perfect place to build my basketball court. He didn't tell us anything about any buffer zone. He even recommended us to his subcontractor that did the concrete. So we brought him in. The reason we were wrong for not pulling a permit, fully willing to pay the fines, and we've paid those. But it's interesting, we had to get a permit to demo it, and that took a lot of time. We had to jump through some hoops. Safety Harbor would not issue us the permit until we got a permit from Pinellas County. I have a letter from Pinellas County that we finally got that says, this is from the permit specialist, there is no more you need to do other than the homeowner's affidavit and an NOC. We were pushing it through for Safety Harbor as we don't normally require a permit to demo something that did not need a permit to install originally. Any questions, please call Cindy Connolly, permit specialist, building division of Pinellas County. So I hope that can help understand our understanding of why we didn't think we needed a permit. We came from a place where there's homeowners associations. We bought this house on Bayshore, no HOA, so we didn't. But we understand now, Safety Harbor is very diligent about permits for everything. So we admit that we're wrong for that, paid those fines, willing to do it. Once the code enforcement board informed us, cut off our attorney, cut off the ecologist who basically, the board, if you go listen to the meeting, really made it a point that the policy of the code was more important to them than the environment itself, which I believe that's the reason the code was written. Because our ecologist, expert witness, and we have a letter from the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, Carl Berman, stating that what we did by building the court was actually less damaging to the environment than coming back and putting sod or the way it was before, because of fertilizer runoff. I guess the issue within the buffer zone is the idea of water runoff and something to do with semi-permeability. So what we tried to do was to exhaust everything to show the city that if there's an issue of why this court can't be here and it's environmental, can we come up with a solution? We went to other cities in Florida and around the country to find surfaces that are environmentally friendly, semi-permeable, and we tried to propose that to the city. We're willing to do this. Wouldn't work with us, wouldn't talk to us. So they said, the only way we're going to talk to you is in mediation. So we had to go to mediation and sit down with attorneys. So out of that mediation, the only advice that we were left with was, listen, tear it all out, and then you can come back and ask for another variance to put this environmental friendly surface down. So here's the thing. We just want to be done with it. My family is out over $200,000 on this deal, and we have tried and tried and tried to work with the city, and they wouldn't do it. And so, this basketball court was a Christmas gift to my kids. We tore it out. We've spent over $200,000 now in the court, in legal fees, mediation, demolition now. And it's interesting to now get an email from Pinellas saying you didn't even require a permit in the first place. So there's no victims here. The environment hasn't been damaged. If you haven't listened to the video from the ecologist, 20 years with the Florida Department of Environmental Protection, I advise you to go listen to that video and contact her. So the environment was not damaged, the city was not damaged. The way I see it, the only person that's been damaged in this is my family. And so I'm asking, The second violation, yes, according to the, you guys' laws or procedures, whatever in the city, there's a second offense, and he's able to reduce it down to a certain amount. That second offense was I was trying to expand my paver driveway about the width of this table with some more pavers, and so I had a couple guys out there laying down some more pavers so we could fit another car in the driveway on the side, and that's why we received the next violation. I was told by someone in code enforcement, I believe Paul, well, a lot of times people just do this and we overlook it, but since it's right here on the street and people are driving by, we have to give you a violation for this. So we just want this to be done. We're asking, look, and I told you in the email, I told Matt, I'll pay the $2,800 that he reduced down for the second violation. We were in violation, we didn't pull a permit for the pavers, so we'll pay that. But I would just ask that the board would consider 100% removing the lien on our house. We're kind of just a little bit shocked in the way that we've been treated through the whole thing. You know, and I don't understand all the inner workings of city politics, but you know, I reached out to Joe. Joe was very kind, very nice about the situation. That's been a long time when it first started. And he said, look, this is up to the code enforcement board, okay? And I kind of have my hands tied. I have a friend that's an attorney in Clearwater, and I don't know if he gave me Mr. Diaz's information, but I was trying to reach out to the commission because my assumption was there would be some wisdom in this situation from the commission that maybe the code enforcement board was overlooking or had a blind spot, and we could figure something out. Mr. Diaz, I think, informed my friend that's an attorney that would be a conflict of interest for us to start speaking, that this is between us and the code enforcement board. So I just think it's a shame of where we are now at it. We just want it to be behind us, and I would ask that you guys remove these fines 100%. We've already dealt with a lot, and my family's the only one that's a victim in this thing or hurt from it, and I'm not blaming it on anyone. We didn't pull the permits, so we're wrong. Okay? But we've already paid enough, so I would appreciate it if you guys remove all of it. And I don't know if you have any other questions.
I say thank you for coming tonight. Thank you for sharing your side of the, your side of the story. And if no one else has any questions, we can discuss and try to move past this. Yep, thank you. All right, what do we all think?
Comes down to the number. What's the number?
Yeah, that's exactly what it comes down to. What's the number?
Lower than the 126. I think lower than 50.
I don't know. I mean, again, I'm open. I don't want to waive the whole amount, but I certainly think that it needs to be deeply decreased. You know, without discussing blame or who's wrong or who's right. You know, I think he exercised his right to contest it and fight the city with what he believed in, but at the same time, you know, he was advised by the city that it was inappropriate. So I don't think just waiving the whole amount is appropriate. I think reducing it, you know, if you want to reduce it to, you know, something that is you know, kind of compensates or you know, kind of covers what should.
Less than 20?
Yeah, but again, I'd be open for a number less than 20, but certainly something between, my thought is something between 10 and 20. Again, I'd like to put it behind us. I'm sure he'd like to put it behind him. He didn't come to us or he didn't have a purchaser saying, hey, discount it, or he's not refinancing. He's actually coming to us before any of that takes place, which I think is, he wants to pay it and be done and walk away.
You can come back up if you want.
One thing I forgot to say is that as soon as we realized that there was no viable option to make the court semi-permeable or environmentally friendly, that the city would not agree to any of that. As soon as we had exhausted all efforts to try to come to a resolution, we immediately took action in doing everything we could to immediately remove the court, the basketball court. And so that's
why we're having this discussion, is because you did take action and the
Right.
issue is resolved. So we're
Yeah,
trying to
and as soon as we realized there's no solution, there's no budging here, we took immediate action. That required some things. That required us going to Pinellas, that the City of Safety Harbor required that letter from Pinellas, which basically ended up saying, well, here's the letter, but you don't need it either. So, but we did everything we could, got the permits, tore it out, and moved as fast as we could to come into compliance.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's tough because it's,
There was something that was done.
it was delayed, and that's why it just kept rolling over and got bigger and bigger and bigger, but.
My initial bill was 20 for both.
How much?
Maybe 20,000 for both. Inclusive.
Oh, my
But
thought
that
would be
could be-
10,000 for both inclusive, maybe. That would be my thought. But that's just my thought.
Only go 10,000 for one, 2,800 for the other.
Here's where I am. I mean, this is one hell of an ordeal, and I believe Mr. Barnett when he said he's into this over $200,000 already, and you could just kind of feel the strain and the stress, the burden that this has been over the last couple of years, and I'm on the low side. I'd say 10 for both.
I'm amenable to whatever the city wants to do. I'm okay with 10 for both, or whatever the majority is.
I have a little bit of extra knowledge of this, because although you do not remember me, you did speak to me one time on the street, and you were very unhappy. So I understand that there's been unhappiness, and I remember this as years ago. I remember this, I don't know if it was 2018 when you approached me. And so I want to be sure staff knows how supportive I am of you through this, because staff's put a lot of hours also and a lot of deliberation and into this whole matter. So I want you to know I support you. But I also understand how you felt too. You had some things, I'm not going to repeat the things you said to me, but you just had some misgivings about the way you were treated and the way we welcomed you to Safety Harbor. And we don't want that. We don't want that. We don't want things to be difficult for people. We welcome you as neighbors. And so, but we also stand behind our people also, because they have this code that they have to follow. So that said, and that revelation, I'm still going to say I can go on the low side. I can do the 10.
For both?
Yes.
All right, do we have a motion?
Make a motion to reduce all fines or all outstanding fines, which is, what is it, some $1,000?
It's more than that. Just for code enforcement board number 210461 and code enforcement board number 20006, reduce in their entirety for,
$10,000 total. Does that, does that include?
that's inclusive of everything, that's fine.
That
That-
includes?
Yep, that's, and then the 90 days to pay.
Yep, and 90 days to pay, fine.
So moved.
Say inclusive, that would take care of.
That would be
what
the
city
cost,
took
the
care of
city
too.
employees and all that, it's all in
Yeah,
there, right?
that's right, yeah, we're not gonna,
All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed say nay. All right, motion passes 5-0. Clean slate. All right, so moving on, ordinance 2024-02 on first reading.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance number 2024-02, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Safety Harbor, Florida, amending the future land use element of the City of Safety Harbor Comprehensive Plan by updating the community's vision statement and amending the balancing criteria for future land use map amendments that increase density or intensity within the coastal high hazard area, CHHA, providing for transmittal to reviewing agencies in accordance with the requirements of the law, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. Mayor and Commissioners, this has been a reading of ordinance number 2024-02 on first reading by title only.
All right, good evening, Mayor and Commissioners. So before you is a comprehensive plan amendment for the future land use element. So this is basically a housekeeping item because both the amendment today are because there was another plan associated with the comprehensive plan and those plans are amended. So we are amending our comprehensive plan to be consistent with the recent amendment. So the first one is the downtown master plan, because the vision statement was updated, so we have to update our comprehensive plan as well. The second one is the balancing criteria for map amendments for within coastal high hazard area. And that was because the Pinellas Countywide plan was amended, so we are required to amend our comprehensive plan to be consistent with them. So the first one, the vision statement in June 2023, the City Commission adopted ordinance number 2023-01, amending the downtown master plan. So here is the updated languages. We amended deleted our old vision and added a new vision. So we're just adding the vision word by word into our future land use text. And the second one is for the coastal high hazard area balancing criteria. I probably wouldn't get into too much detail explaining this technical term because it's a very long term. But I'm happy to answer any questions. So for the purpose of this presentation right now, we are required to be consistent with a recently amended countywide plan, which added the new review requirements for the balancing criteria. So this is the newly added language in the countywide plan. And this is the section that we did not include in our comprehensive plan before, and we're required to be consistent, so we are also adding that to our comprehensive plan. So we're just adding it word by word. The staff finds the comprehensive plan amendment to be consistent with the standards stated in the code. So tonight, the City Commission may approve with modification, or deny the ordinance. Thank you. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Thank you. Any questions for Celeste?
I guess the general is that these don't, just making it compliant with county requirements.
Yes.
Yeah.
Anyone from the audience wish to be heard? Do we have a motion?
Move to approve ordinance 2024-02 on first reading.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Next up, ordinance 2024-03 on first reading.
Thank you, Mayor. Ordinance number 2024-03, an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Safety Harbor, Florida, amending the future land use map of the City of Safety Harbor Comprehensive Plan for 675 Elm Street and a portion of a property located west of Elm Street and south of Cedar Street, Safety Harbor, Florida, from institutional I to residential urban RU, finding the request consistent with the requirements of the City of Safety Harbor Comprehensive Plan and Fort Pinellas Countywide Plan, providing for transmittal to reviewing agencies in accordance with the requirements of the law, providing for severability, and providing for an effective date. Mayor and Commissioners, this has been a reading of ordinance number 2024-03 by title only on first reading.
And this is for the Habitat home lots, right?
Yes.
Okay, so.
Yeah, so this is a part of the conversation that happened earlier. So this is the Habitat lot, it's 0.82 acres, it's going to be single-family residential. So we're doing a future land use amendment for this property only because the zoning is already R2 single-family. So here's a photo of the site, it's vacant lot. I would like to mention that this lot over here is temporarily taken out of the agreement because there was an encroachment issue. So, the Pinellas School Board and Habitat will work on it before they move forward with the development, but it doesn't influence the voting for today. So here's the encroachment issue. So the current future land use is institutional. We're proposing to be residential urban to be consistent with the surrounding area. So institutional, we talked about this before, and residential urban is intended for a low density, urban low density residential manner, and the primary use shall be residential. The staff found the amendment to be consistent with the code requirements. So tonight the city commission may approve with modification, or deny ordinance number 2024-03. Thank you.
Any questions for Celeste? Oh my gosh.
Sorry.
What did I do? Shame on me. Thank you.
What did I miss?
Nothing. Anyone from the audience wish to be heard? Oh, you're good, even better. Even better, Cecilia. Cecilia, even better, you missed it.
Okay.
Thank you, Cecilia. Okay.
I zoned out.
So did I. Anyone, do we have a motion?
Motion to approve ordinance 2024-03 on first reading.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Motion passes 5-0. Thank you, Cecilia.
Do you,
No, we're moving on.
no, I know, but, I mean, I know Marcy's prepared to do this now, but it's also 10 o'clock at night. So if you want this to be on the
No.
next agenda, it's not gonna hurt our feelings. We can type, and I do know that, we did have a member of the Code Enforcement Board that was here earlier that wanted to speak on this item, and he has since left because it's 10 o'clock at night.
Yeah.
So if you want to push this off to the next meeting, it's not gonna hurt our feelings, right, Marcy?
That's too funny.
I'd like to go through this line item by line item tonight. Do we have a motion to postpone this to the next meeting?
I'll move to table, is it new business item number 10?
Yep.
To the very next city commission meeting.
Second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes 5-0. All right, so commission reports, Vice Mayor.
You know what? It's 10 o'clock, and it's been great to have all these great discussions up here, so I'm not going to add anything to my report right now. I'll pass.
Commissioner Basur.
Oh, I'll make up for him. Let's see. I would like to first thank the Chamber for hosting the candidate forum the other night, and specifically Cammie Lumpkin, and just all her efforts to get us all together, and get us all to be heard. I want to thank Mr. Chalumis and Mr. Ajit, I think I'm pronouncing that right, for offering us the facility. It was just perfect. And ladies and gentlemen, it is available on YouTube, apparently through the city's website. So if you missed it in person, you can see it online. The second thing I want to say is I believe Little League first pitch is coming up on the 16th. And if you have not seen that, please do it. Go. I know it's sometime after 5. It's probably 6. And they have the T-ballers all the way up to, which is the older students. And it's just wonderful to see the enthusiasm. So that will warm your heart, aside from the fact that you can watch us politicians try to make the ball go down. Down to the catcher, right? Yeah. All right, the next thing I would like to say is we are having the pickleball dedication, and I'm sure the mayor will talk about that further, and that is also the 16th, but at 10 o'clock in the morning. So please do come out. And the next thing I have to say is that I've been talking somewhat about connections among people, and I want to say that tonight I want to make an appeal. This is almost Mr. Smith Goes to Washington appeal, or It's a Wonderful Life for George Bailey. Please come together if you've ever used the Maddie Williams Center, or if you've ever volunteered, you've delivered food, you've collected food, you work in Publix and you've seen the food go out of there. You know that we are in the midst of abundance. We have some really struggling people. And I will say that some of us really love going out. I have a new habit. We love Starbucks. I think $7 a pop. and we go to Vino Tinto, and I rarely walk out of there without a waffle, and I'm looking upwards of, say, $15 every time I walk out. So I'm spending, and I have abundance, but I also know that we have neighbors who are really struggling. I'm also looking at that St. James Hotel, and aside from what you know about me, I'm also looking at that and thinking, maybe someday we're gonna have that rooftop bar, and I'm gonna give my pop of $10 a drink to sit there and say, oh, at that bay, because exciting things are coming. This community is going to be vibrant and it's going to be wonderful. But we have to take care of the less fortunate. And I am just flabbergasted that Maddie Williams didn't walk out with the 200,000 today. I'm just very sad. I know study is important though, and I know talking to people is important, but I'm putting out the George Bailey appeal to Garden Club, both Rotaries, anybody associated with Maddie, Kiwanians, Lions Club, Chamber, Harbor Dish, people at church I know, people who go up to Folly, everybody jump in. And let's write us. You don't have to come. You don't have to fill City Hall, but we respond. Look at what happened with the library edition is what I want to tell you. With people, we're influencers. We are influencers. We are like, what, J-Lo, or who did I mention the other night? I got to laugh, Lil Wayne. We are the rappers. We listen to people and then we project. So please think about this, and it's the next meeting that we will be talking about the Maddie Williams funds. Now, I can't do anything about the visioning going forward unless I'm here to be part of the vision, but we're not supposed to campaign on our seats. But the last comment I'm going to say to you is, Commissioner Mears, you are going to be dearly missed. You will. You add another perspective, and so I will say that you will be dearly missed. And that concludes my report.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Yeah, I want to congratulate Rachel. Great city clerk, did an outstanding job.
Yes.
Also, I want to congratulate Isabella. She's got a new position coming up. We're going to miss you severely. Great job. You just fit into the group tremendously. So, but we'll see each other somewhere at the baseball games or something like that.
Absolutely.
So, I was at the Safety Harbor Forum, and great job by all the candidates. It's pretty cool to see how people can be very civilized and stuff like that, you know? No, it was very good.
It's good to see that, isn't it?
But I was going to take down Jacob, put him in a
It's just
headlock.
exemplary. I mean, there's no bashing, no name calling or anything like that, no false accusation.
As opposed to your past campaigns? I'm kidding, I'm joking.
Cool. That's it, that's all I have, and I'll leave it alone.
Thank you. Thank you, Commissioner Besor. I appreciate that. There'll be more coming, but I will miss you all as well. This collegiate discussion, they continue. Today was just great, as Vice Mayor said. You know, you got to have these kind of discussions in order to be able to get that information out. Over the years, probably one of the more difficult tasks up here is what we had to go through today in trying to deal with these liens and try to figure out what's a fair thing. And I know we set up information, we set up schedules, we try to do what we can. We very much support staff in their efforts. I want everybody to realize that. I just mentioned it, but I still would like to mention it, that if the reason that they get so big is because they are in litigation, I think it's important to maybe for the future commission to consider. There might be a time when these fines, if it's in litigation, maybe they get paused for a moment. You know, there's something to talk about, because otherwise it just gets so big, and then you're really not applying any kind of real rationale over, except for the fact that you just feel that it's just so big, and then what's fair. And I think if perhaps during the time when it's really active and decisions are being made, that's the time when the fee is growing. And then during times when it's potentially in this quasi, I'm not sure where it's going to go, maybe that makes some sense to be paused. I don't know if it can be done or not. Maybe it's a legal issue that has to be brought up, but it may make the actual dollar amounts more in line with the actual time in which the infraction is being actually growing. If you put it in one of these situations that lasts 5 years in litigation, it's going to be a gigantic number. And it's so misproportional to potentially the issue. So that's just something to
That's a good
bring
idea.
up.
So coming up with a formula in the future, so when litigation starts to the end of litigation or whatever, maybe you could postpone it or have a forgiveness amount or period of time or something.
Right, right, because then that would help us to take a big chunk of that number out initially, because it's really in nobody's hands then, if it is in a situation where it's in the courts and things like that.
But the issue is that they're doing it, they're going against the regulations, then asking for forgiveness. It's not, I think most of the cases are because of interpretation of the code.
Maybe you just change the calculation for what the 70% is. It's based on, you take out the time period where it's been in litigation, and then you say, all right, you subtract those days, even though the lien's still accruing, but maybe you just take that chunk out of the calculation where you reduce it, but we can look into it.
Yeah, it's just a thought to kick out, but like, over 12 years of sitting up here, I mean, there's difficult times that come up, zoning and various things. But that's always something that I always found to be difficult, because you're trying to really come up with what's a rational number. And those percentages all work well if the number you start with is reasonable. When the number you start with is so big, even 70 or 90% results in a number which is so big, right? So just the thought, that might be something that could get done. And otherwise, everything that was brought up today was all very good. We definitely will miss you. Congratulations. And I guess the only thing that I haven't heard is just wish everybody a happy Valentine's Day. That's it. Thank you.
So my report, I'm showing the pickleball ribbon cutting on the 10th.
It is the 10th.
The
yeah.
10th at 10 a.m.
Oh, it's the 10th.
Yes, the
That's
10th.
about 1,000
The
people.
10th at 10 a.m.
Okay.
So speaking of Isabella leaving us,
You said the 16th, but
I did,
you
but
meant the
it's the
10th.
10th.
You meant the 10th.
we've got a little something to present to you.
Oh my gosh.
You're acting surprised. And look, it's two-sided.
So
Isn't that
great.
amazing? So we would like to
It's
present this to
two-sided.
you.
Isn't that amazing?
That's very nice.
Isabella,
Oh my goodness.
we're gonna miss you. Thank you for all you've done for the
Thank
city.
you so much. This is fabulous. I can keep this?
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
And we know it was a tough decision, and we feel like we do have a special bond with you. And so thank you for all you've done, and we do wish you the sincere best moving forward. So,
Thank you so much. It has really been the honor of my career thus far to be the city attorney of Safety Harbor. It was incredibly difficult to decide to leave my current position, mostly because of my work with you all. You have one heck of a commission here, so reasonable and cordial, which, being involved in local government throughout Florida, whether it be litigation or what have you, you don't see that all the time. What a city manager you have. He is, from an attorney perspective, he is such a joy to work with, so reasonable and so hands-on. And everyone, some great department heads you have, and all the city staff that I worked with is really, for the past, it's been about 7 years. It really has been an honor. So thank you for having me. Thank you for allowing me to be your city attorney. And I'm going to be in local government in Pinellas County, so our paths will cross. Yes. And thank you. This is such a fabulous party. Thank you.
Are you in litigation? Is that where you're going to litigation as part of it?
No, I'm going to be more of like real estate and kind of affordable housing and contracts and all that good stuff.
And when
I was going to say, I'll see you soon.
When I come to visit you, I want that to be in your office.
Matt, does it say court as a reference to law, courtroom? Is that?
It works on so many levels.
Yeah.
Do you have anything else? This is your commission, this is your report right now, so is there anything else you'd like to add?
Well, just really for pragmatically, there are other cities who have kind of struggled with how large these code enforcement liens can get. Some other solutions that I've seen are capping the, changing the code to capping to a maximum amount of a fine. Some cities do like the amount of the value of the house on the property appraiser's database or something similar. So that's another thought that you could, if you wanted to not have these astronomically high liens, that's maybe a route you could
That wouldn't have
consider.
had an effect on this case, though.
No,
I'm sure
because
that's a $5 million house.
That's right, and it gets too, if it just caps, then the incentive to end it goes away.
I've bit my tongue the whole time. Can I just say that we cannot legislate or come up with ordinances based off of one case. This was an outlier. There's so many things about this case that are different than any other case you'll ever see. The mediation concluded in May of 2022. The mediation concluded in May of 2022.
And that's.
Okay, so even everything we just talked about wouldn't change I don't care if we pause it for this period, pause it for that period, it's still the date to come to compliance, he still would not have gotten the full amount for that. I think the key is he's in compliance. I think you all did the right thing tonight, and the ordinance allows you to do that, where you can make a judgment call. And I think, as the mayor said, we're all turning over a new leaf, and we're, it wasn't a good start to their time here in Safety Harbor, and he had much cost and much frustration. Him and I have had some really good conversations the last few weeks, and we're putting all this behind us. But you're not going to see cases like this because of this case. So let's not change the entire code because of one case. So sorry, I should have just been quiet, but that's how.
You gotta put your input.
Is that your commission report?
That's it.
That was it?
That's it. But she's still up. Izzy's still up. So.
I don't have anything further to add. Thank you for having me as your city attorney for this time.
Thank you.
It's been a pleasure.
Matt, you're good?
Yeah, I'm good.
Nancy, you're not getting second dibs tonight. All right, meeting's adjourned.
That's not very cordial.
This is the coolest thing I've ever seen. I can't wait to show my husband. Oh my God.
So much. And I get to see you next week.